Oh shit, my goofy ass. I forgot to turn the fucking. I was so horned up to get the fucking stream going. I forgot to turn the damn camera on. No wonder that shit was bright. Fucking ring light was turned up. I'm sweaty again. It's the middle of fucking winter. It's like 55 degrees outside, but I'm still sweaty for whatever fucking reason. I'm gonna start the game up because I know it's gonna take like 9 fucking years for the game to actually launch after I double click. I'm gonna do that real quick so we can get that going. I got the G Fuel here. Heart hurting since yesterday. I think I got pericarditis, yo. Ow. Fuck. Globus. Ugh. Fucking heart hurts, man. We're gonna get through the game though. Hello, Wither King. You know who I haven't seen in chat in a minute? I hope is okay. I haven't seen Lady Raincloud in a fucking minute. I hope she's good. Hello, everybody. Sorry. You know what? I'm just sitting here looking at my phone in complete fucking silence. Let me throw a loop. Professional streamer, everyone. Professional fucking. You know what that means. Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. You know what that means. Means I'm in the kitchen cooking. Let's get it. Oh, is fucking emote only chat on? God damn it, dude. How does this keep happening? I guess fucking chat arena or something. It's a shit. What's up, Globus? What up, Brother King? While I'm waiting for the game to load, let me turn the music down a little bit. So while I'm waiting for the game to load, what's up, Shola? While I'm waiting for the game to load, I'm gonna give y'all just a little preview, I guess, of the news I'm gonna cover tonight later on the stream. Just gonna try to do it real quick because the game is double clicked. It's just taken 8 fucking years to actually launch. So at some point the game will randomly load in. So I don't want to go too deep into this while the game is getting ready. As much as I hate Jezebel, I feel like I need to go to Jezebel for this particular story to get the proper bias that I want about this story. Because it needs to be told a specific way. Excuse me. So, there was an LAPD officer who was killed in a training accident who just so happened to be investigating gang rape by 4 other fellow officers. This is LAPD. This is the same place that has literal gangs in their sheriff's department. Keep that in mind. Why do I even have Facebook I don't know if this particular thing is gang related. Oh, obviously trigger warning. I don't know if this particular thing is gang related, but you know. I do got the Gibbons tee on. Cardinal Gibbons Yugabola. LAPD equals gang related. I see what you're saying. What up, Script Chase? You found your Gibbon shit recently? That's chill. I have my there, and there's the fucking goddamn it. See, this is why I didn't want to do this. Game is starting. I'll tell you all about the news later. Or I'll just read. I'll keep reading it now, off to the side. So, LAPD, there was a police officer who was beaten to death in a training exercise. The death has been ruled an accident because, obviously. But the thing that is getting left out is that that officer happened to be investigating 4 other fellow officers for a gang rape. Then we have the story of Donna Lee Donaldson. Very recent, very breaking. Shout out to Wilhelm Ryan for the follow. Thank you. You're banned in Hassan's channel. Chill out. Chill the fuck out. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say nothing else, yo. Just chill out, yo. Chill out. But anyway. And in fairness, Hassan fucking bans everyone, so you could have gotten banned for any number of reasons. But, it is what it is. You sent asking how the Queen's death personally affected him and got banned? Okay, so he was in this feeling. But why you ask that though? You don't think it's funny to smoke on Queen Elizabeth pack? What's up, Rancelot? But Donna Lee Donaldson was murdered and is essentially sparking like a kind of like a George Floyd moment in Jamaica. He was just being really extreme, and you don't like those vibes at all. I hate to break it to you, fam, but on this channel, we laugh, we geek on the fact that Lizzie's in a box. Right on, Wilhelm Ryan. I appreciate you. I'm just saying, you're probably not going to want to hang out here if people talking shit about dead people is offensive to you, because we do all of that. I'm on all that. Fuck Queen Elizabeth. Fuck Rush Limbaugh. Fuck Dick Cheney. Fuck John McCain. Fuck him. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Fuck that bitch. Okay, alright, cool. Alright, so you are cool. Okay. Bunch of dead goofies. We're a bit of a, and that's what I was just explaining. Shout out to my boy Talorx. Shout out Big Lorx, because he has no clue what the fuck is going on. Philip Pacino is, that's a cool name. He had no clue what the fuck was going on. I had to get him sharp that, like, our little slice of Twitch, our little corner here is tight knit as fuck. Niggas see what we doing over here and they're jealous as fuck because they don't know how to do anything other than talk shit about each other, try to set each other up, fucking snitch on each other, try to brigade each other, mass report each other, all that goofy shit just because they need content and they want to fucking make drama to make content. We're not on that time. We're all 10 toes down with each other, and that's just, it is what it is. And they see that, and they see the loyalty and the love that we actually have in our community, and they're jealous. They're mad as shit about it because their communities are built on nothing but fucking sadism and talking shit and drama and fuckery.
Happy hunting, folks. I'll be in touch.
Okay, team.
That list of dead brings me joy as well, Charlotte. No goofy shit for content is the fucking mantra.
Will require a more strategic approach.
Dildo bongs. So there's a song, there's this band Sick Fuck that I used to love. I still kind of listen to them occasionally. I might bump them. But there's a band called Sick Fuck, and they had a song called Tit Fucked by a Dildo Bong.
The supply bin. Whoever brought it here couldn't even crack it open. Idiots.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Where was the shit?
Missing supply bin signature detected. Look around if you're in the mood.
Oh no. Nah, this ain't Gundam. This is a game called Shatterline. I can play Gundam if y'all want though, because I know inevitably at some point this fucking busted ass game is gonna crash. I got the future Quizzy too. Look at the Glock. I got the fucking Glock 19. The vented slide cutouts. Look at the slide vents. I got the fucking Zafiri precision slide on my fucking futuristic Glock 19.
Three in a row, mates.
Yeah, this is this game. It's from Ukraine. Just came. It's not out yet fully. It's in early access. They released the early access version of this game at the beginning of last month. So, needless to say, the game is not finished and the game is not perfect. It's in a pretty playable state now, but the only reason I'm playing it is because I'm just straight up addicted to the loot. It's a combination first-person shooter with power sliding, which is, you got me. Power sliding and mantling, you got me just there. The gunplay feels nice. But also, it's a roguelite. So that box you just saw us open is going to give me my abilities and perks. you get a roll of 3. RNG on each of those. You gotta defeat waves of enemies to get that loot. It's almost like FPS Dead Cells. Power slide, yeah, it is. That's a power slide.
You found the missing
Slide.
pin.
Can I
Grab
slide
the
down the hill?
goodies.
Can I keep sliding if I'm going downhill? Nah. Fuck that. I feel like Apex Legends is goated for that. The fact that if you're going downhill, you keep sliding. Fuck. What gun is this motherfucker? Oh shit. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a popular game.
Reloading.
It's my armrests because my wrist's getting a little sore. Robo Dinos. I want to play that new Capcom game that's dropping. Is it Exoprimal? I think is what it's called. That shit looks kind of tough. Just a portal in the sky opens and hella fucking velociraptors just come spilling out of it. That shit looks tough. What up, Anal? Cersei Lannister? I don't know nothing about Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna. I'm fucking impervious to peer pressure, my nigga. How Vosh thought Shark was with me, like a steel wall or whatever goofy shit he said Shark was when he handed himself a L to me. I'm actually like that. I'm really on that. Motherfuckers were horned up. I had a homie, like one of my close homies, who read all them books, was a George R.R. Martin fan, excited as fuck for Game of Thrones before it even came out. Before people even knew that it was books. He was trying to get me into it, and I was like, I'm like, that fantasy novel shit. I'm not in high school no more, man. That fantasy novel shit's not for me. I like reading history. And sure enough, the show dropped. Everybody and their fucking mothers talking about Game of Thrones this, Game of Thrones that. Everybody is on the edge of their fucking seats waiting to watch some edgy fucking sister rape show with goofy ass white people. Not a single nigga to be found in the entire show. Isn't that weird to y'all too? The fact that all the things that we call fantasy, like all the worlds we call fantasy are worlds with no niggas in them. Except for maybe like Elder Scrolls with Red Guards and shit. Shout out Black Red Guards. But when I tell you that I literally, physically, like it's a law of the universe, like weak forces, strong forces, gravity, and magnetism. I physically, literally cannot care less about Game of Thrones. I can't.
Reloading. Wait a tick.
It's like that, you know how Taskmaster has like, he's got the photographic reflexes so he can repeat any move that he sees, but he like can't retain long-term memories. That's me. I mean, I'm a beast with all this shit.
Hey team, we're tracking a missing supply bin nearby.
Even when
Hey, you might
I could
wanna
literally
sniff
sit
around.
down, a motherfucker can strap me to a fucking chair, a Clockwork Orange style, and tape my eyes open and pump me full of adrenaline and caffeine and everything with my eyes locked on the fucking screen. And 24 hours later, I couldn't tell you what I just watched. I like literally like
That's one of our
there's
supply
like
bins.
some kind of
Wonder how it
wave
even got here.
emitted that makes it so I physically. Why are you kicking the box the wrong fucking direction? The new one added POC to the cast. Interesting. I like spamming pistols. I've always loved, even since the N64 days of Perfect Dark, the mag sec. I just love. There's something just about spamming a pistol. Just tell me that mag dump right there wasn't satisfying. And if you think a mag dump in the game is fun, get the range. Get a homie that's got a pistol or something that lets you go over range with him.
Team, let's get in there and hack the shit out of this place. Contamination increase detected. Be
Why are we
advised.
already here?
All right, you're in. Now, I need you to compromise the security system. Get to the main terminal and load the virus.
Show started going off the rails when GR. There are a lot of black people in the new show.
Malware installed.
Well, good luck to them because I'll never see
Tracking
them.
data leak.
No offense.
Got it. Head over to the exposed cluster.
Rainbow Siege new game mode's interesting for me. It looks cool, yeah. This run is wash. I already know we're about to windshield wipe this because these motherfuckers went to the final boss on the first.
Team,
We don't have no perks. We're in here under leveled like shit. We're ready to get bodied. As soon as them snipers come up on the second floor, we're ready to get our cheeks clapped. As soon as the niggas with the Gatling guns come out, that's a wrap. Here it is. Here we go. This is it. I'm not using this. Too obsessed with the peak. I got a whole ass rifle.
we got this junk. On to the next one. Team, upload in progress. Return to the hard drive.
Oh fuck. There he is. Fuck. He's got a flamethrower.
You need to chill. Medbot on the field.
Oh my god. I knew this was gonna happen.
Captain Hill to the rescue. Real ironic. Company's red, eh? Eh? Now we're friggin'
Fuck these niggas. Let's get them all. Let's get them all.
I reckon. Whoa, wicked.
It's a beefy boy.
All right, you got them all. You're cool and they're easy meat. Now get on the exposed cluster and send me
Oh
the
my god, I'm
data.
about to die. My team is fucking useless too.
We got the files.
Oh my god, he's got a flamethrower. Oh my god.
Upload in progress. Return to the hard drive.
My teammates are just gonna stand there getting shot. They're ready to die. Oh, they got rocket launchers.
Get a pup. Oops, Sergeant down.
Oh my god, dude. I got hit with the pumpy. That motherfucker gave me the Kurt Cobain.
I'm gonna make it rain.
Yo, come get me. Come get me. This motherfucker has like 8 fucking health out there trying to gunfight flamethrower heads. Thank you.
You ain't getting off that.
All right, you got them all. You're cool and they're easy meat. Now get on the exposed cluster and send me
The
the
showrunners
data.
for Game of Thrones are also racist fucks. I mean, nobody wants to hear that though. Nobody wants to hear their favorite is problematic. I mean, there's black people there, so how could it possibly be racist?
Complete. Another leak detected. Team, upload in progress. Return to the hard drive.
This is PvE at the moment. This game does have PvP though that I'll get into.
Captain
You
Hill to
did.
the rescue.
Why the fuck would you put that there instead of on the spot where we have to literally stand and get shot at until the fucking timer? I feel like Aaron Rodgers right now. I'm hurt, I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with fucking children.
Strafe it down.
All right, we know all their dirty secrets now. Clear the facility and let's be off.
Oh my god! Okay, time to go. I'm gonna just do ad control and let these goofies. Oh my god, never mind, I'm not doing shit. That's a wrap for him.
Fucking rocket,
Shit.
mate.
That killed me. The explosion from that killed me. Yo, what up, Talorx? Shout out Big Lorx. Shout out. And the flames come through the wall. Imagine that. I had to get rid of that
Launching medbot. Witness friends, right?
dude. Oh my god. I keep forgetting I have stasis grenades too.
Freeze, you bastard!
He's about to come around the corner and blast me. Yup! Oh my god!
Sniper engaging.
Right on. Thanks for coming through, Rancelot. Rancelot. Oh, get this thing, bro. Fuck this thing.
You survived another one, Shellguard. I must admit, working with you is so much fun. Contamination figures went up.
I kind of want this. I want the burst DPS. I want that high burst damage now.
Karen, what's the deal with that orbit guy? I take it he isn't really an immune.
No, he's quite the opposite, in fact. The man should have transformed long ago, but something has halted the process.
Interesting. Could there be a way to reverse it?
We truly hope so. I hate to admit it, but Hannah's work might shed more light on
The
this.
lore with this game is that the
Hannah's
crystalline.
Oh, you
I actually
mean
couldn't tell you
experiments
what
with
it
those
was.
chosen fellas.
What I've
Exactly.
Missing
ascertained
supply and signature detected.
is that
Look around if you're in the mood.
that crystal shit is like an alien life form, like hive mind,
You
that's
found the
invading the
missing
Earth and
bit.
terraforming
Grab the
the Earth.
goodies.
That had me worried. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Also, that contamination bar at the top of the screen, that is a countdown for another modifier to buff the enemies. Enemies already have shields. Oh, can I see what buffs? Okay, shields and firefly. Cool. Awesome. So this run is gonna be washed because I'm playing with fucking children and they don't know it. They're not using comms. Yo! Yeah, they're not using comms. What?
All wounded to...
You gotta be shitting me. I was gonna say, if we get killed off of not even a supply drop,
I'll be there if you need me.
Let's get moving,
I
pal.
guess the motherfucker shot me with a rocket or something. Oh, it is a supply drop. Ooh. This is the AR I unlocked with my first box in this game.
I've got the lethal helper.
Got that yob in a chest. Say hello to my little friends. Captain Pill to the rescue.
Yeah, all the like ads, like all the non-human enemies we fight used to be humans.
That shit was aces.
I'm headed over there.
Oh shit.
You're the right. Launching medbot. We're best friends, right?
Overwatch 2 is free to play. I might play that tonight. We'll see. What's the end game goal for this? It's a roguelite. You just kind of do runs and get more and more abilities and buffs that try to make you proportionately leveled to the increasing difficulty of the world. Like if you play Dead Cells, think like first-person shooter Dead Cells or like first-person shooter Diablo. That's pretty much what we got going in this game.
Fight, boys.
Damn, kill for a sec.
Why am I just stuck melee? Okay.
That's an adamant.
That's a bug. That's a bug. That was owie. Yeah, this is, I mean, I'm already addicted to the gameplay loop. I gotta pick one of these. I guess I'll, this one.
Bomb dogs, here they come.
Oh my god. They fucked him
Whoa,
up.
wicked. Captain Pill to the rescue.
Who, and I mean, they're Ukrainian, so I'm gonna say less, but like, who calls himself Pill, yo?
wicked.
4 boss cells.
One of the missing supply
I'm
drops
still
should
only
be
on
nearby.
one boss cell.
Scour the area, team.
I'm glad it's not the fucking. I'm glad this is an easy mission because these goofies already have us dealt with. I already know I'm gonna be picking them up over fucking over this whole.
Ah, little drone buggers.
Why are they going this way? They're like trying to get themselves dealt with.
Missing supply bin signature detected. Look around if you're in the mood.
I probably wasn't supposed to be able to do that, but. This poor. And you're fighting these motherfuckers by himself. I'm about to get killed.
Whip. Right.
Shit! Ah!
Reloading, mate.
I'm gonna make it rain.
Now we're friggin' talking.
We fucking melted that thing. And by we, I mean I.
Contamination increase detected. Be advised.
If they fucking wash this, there we go. I was about to say, if they fucking botch that run, after I put in all that work DPSing the boss by my motherfucking self, because these niggas can't do shit but stand there and get clapped. Oh! Oh!
Chopping up the guns.
Oh! Oh! Where are these more? Oh, Meteor Strike. This is why these. They're just letting the modifiers in the fucking shits. They're just letting the modifiers stack up on us. I'm voting to extract because these people are.
One of the missing supply drops should be nearby. Scour the area, team.
Where we voted for.
We got a call for extraction. Second squad mate, please confirm.
Glass poppers. Free, you bastard. 3 in a row, mates.
Lucio's fun to play.
There's the extraction point. Clear the area so we can pick you up safely.
I was a Mercy main until they nerfed her in the first game.
Welcome to my clinic.
Here's where we get dealt with.
Slow down so I can hit ya. Headshot on the field. We got a gun. Whoa, wicked! Oh, bugger! Grenade!
Why is he shooting at me from all the way over the fuck there? Okay, okay. Oh my god. What? What up, Chrysanthemum? This is a no goof zone. There will be no goofies whatsoever.
Reloading.
If you're goofy, you're getting banned. I'm gonna let Ban Runner handle that.
2 points of interest complete.
I'm gonna let Ban Runner handle that. And if Ban Runner don't handle it, I'm calling Big Richie. You won't want me to call Big Richie, because he's gonna come through with the pumpy. You won't like when Big Richie comes through with the pumpy. Because when Big Richie comes through with the pumpy, that means you're getting packed up in the fucking van. Goof. This is a zero tolerance goof zone. There will be no goof in here unless otherwise indicated. A little silliness is acceptable, no goof. Y'all want to see me play PvP? What if you are a goof? Well, oh, I don't think anybody in here is a goofy. The way that I don't know. I don't see any goofies in here yet. I have to talk to him real quick. All right, y'all want to see me play PvP though? Because I can do verses if y'all want me to do that. I was having fun just running through, doing my loops, my like Dead Cells and Hades loops. But if y'all want to see me get busy, I can get busy. Fuck it, I'm doing PvP anyway. Y'all took too long. What up, Zeron? Let's crack it, homie. Come through the VC now. Oh, me fucking VC always open, unless I say otherwise. If you want to come through now, I'm chilling. Can I also just say that, like, just really quick, because I gotta say this.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up? Sorry, you had to say something?
Oh, because I'm looking in my Discord right now, and it's weird to me. Like, I understand where the sentiment comes from, because, you know, propaganda. But, like, It's weird to me that when we talk about police abolition, and your first impulse is to be like, what do we do about the sociopaths and the violent offenders? And I gotta say to you, they probably would have to figure out something else to do since the police will be abolished.
Outscore the opponents.
That's a good. I like that. I thought you were like responding to someone in chat or something, and then I realized you just had that one-liner lined up and ready to go. Fucking loaded and cocked.
Because people, oh, I got knifed. People try to do that shit with me. They're like, if we abolish the police, then what would we do with, what would happen to all the Klansmen and all the neo-Nazis? And I was like, they probably have to find new jobs.
Yeah, and I think like the cops don't really do much about the neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
If I actually look at the arrest records for like terrorist organizations, if you're part of the Black Panthers, you're a lot more likely to get arrested than the KKK. The Black Panthers happen to commit a whole lot less murders.
Fuck yeah, the KKK are literally on the police. Like there's
Yeah, I know.
The Daryl Davis, the dude that everybody loves to fucking dick eat, he talks about how here in Baltimore, the sergeant of the BPD was the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Yeah, I noticed people talking about Daryl Davis, and the weird thing to me is, like, cool, like, I'm happy that there are people who are able to reach these guys, and I've tried de-radicalism for myself, but the thing is, not many people are that qualified, but we act like it. We act like, because you're on Twitch, like, I'm not one to speak to the sort of bullshit of academia, the idea of you need a degree to do it, but no, it's more about success.
Exactly.
And you're actually standing for what you value in a way that actually matters. Like, again, people point to the Black Panthers and say, these guys allied with guys on the right. I'm like, yes, they did. These guys were also revolutionary and also actually succeeded, because it's very hard to dilute your own position when you're actually acting already. But if you're doing nothing, if you're just on Discord calling in to talk to Jackson Hinkle or something, then there's nothing to dilute there. Your actions are actually just benefiting the right at that point.
Right. They're not even benefiting you. They're literally only benefiting the people.
Yeah. Like, there needs to be some integrity to actually dilute your integrity, or otherwise, it's not even a matter of platforming, I find that word so fucking stupid sometimes.
Right.
Because we treat it like it's a matter of whose audience is going where. That's not how audiences work.
It's really not, and I get so tired of trying to explain that to people, and also explain the fact that, like, the internet has been the #1 place where neo-Nazis organize since the internet was fucking invented. They've always been here. They don't mind you. They pay no mind to you whatsoever, and they're gonna be here after you get doxxed and get bored or whatever. And you decide you can't do it anymore, because they're playing the long game with this shit.
Yeah, it's a matter of, like, the truth doesn't win internet points.
What's up, Hal?
Oh, hey, we got someone else here, or no one chat?
I was just saying what's up to a homie of mine that came in the chat.
Like, oh yeah, sorry, I don't know on
good.
Twitch currently. I'm mostly on Discord. I was in your chat though. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think when it comes to sort of the whole weird shit around debate head culture, I really don't engage with it
Take
much
my
anymore. I'm
vitamins.
on Twitter. I'm creating a Discord currently. It's still in progress. If you ever need help, like, doing bots and stuff like that on your Discord, particularly like bringing in like Unbelievable and other type stuff, economy bots, etc., I can help with that.
Nice.
I'm not like expert. I think people make a mistake where they believe that computer skills is the same as coding skills.
Right.
Proper with like fucking Python, but also don't know how to properly work an Xbox. And that's actually a different subset of skill, and I really so I'm trying to actually use the skills that I have now rather than just do nothing with it, because I used to people on Twitch, we limit ourselves artificially on what we can actually do, and a lot of that comes down to what's going to create content, what'll bring you into becoming a partner. And that's great. Like, I'm not against people making money on Twitch at all, and I don't think it's inherently exploitative. I'm not the kind of guy who goes around yelling about how Hassan is horrible. Hassan isn't great. He's not a role model for Twitch streamers to follow.
Nah, he's not, and there's some shit with him that's gonna come out eventually. And yes, hell, that is correct. What up, Arun? Arun just popped in the chat. We're in the VC if you want to pull up, Arun.
Yeah.
Also, Master Blastoise said that de-radicalizing takes infrastructure. You can't just do it yourself because you decided you're the guy. And that's really it. Motherfuckers drinking their own Kool-Aid because they want to be Hassan. That's like it. And
the thing is, like,
And because I was having that conversation with Beckett last night, because we have to relitigate this shit every time I talk to somebody from that like corner of Twitch, where I have to explain, you got nothing to offer these people. These people have lived their entire lives in that shit, and we live in a system where like whole ass governments and like state like entities fucking enable and endorse that shit. So that's why you see fucking during 2020 you saw motherfuckers, neo-Nazis doing fucking right-wing mutual aid. You saw motherfuckers from the Klan and shit out there handing out water bottles and sandwiches and chips and shit, because they understand better than the goofy ass fake leftists and liberals on here that you need to give people something.
There's only really one thing I need to speak on that. But I don't think it's about ability to understand the topic. It's more about that they're more skilled at it. It's simply that the ideas, fascism, white nationalism, blah blah blah, are a lot easier for people to bring into their minds. A lot easier for people to internalize because, well, we're living it.
Right.
If you're looking at something that's seen as alien as someone, you have to actually convince them that that current reality is bad. That's a hard thing to do.
So I got a double kill and got killed.
Oh, yeah. As for Hassan, like I'm not a fan. I don't think I watch anyone that has more than 100 views on the stream. Like,
yeah, because chat's fucking impossible at that point.
Yeah,
oh,
and you gotta like donate fucking bits to actually be heard in that. That to me, that sort of parasocial relationship, that's really where a lot of things I think fall apart.
And Twitch is they're trying to rip off Super Chat, but doing goofy shit like you gotta pay $20 to have your chat visible for a minute and a half or some fucking crazy shit like that. Twitch is ready to be. Twitch is about to be RIP. We're ready to be smoking Twitch back, especially off the strength of the. It's not looking good for Twitch this year. I'm gonna just say that.
Mine planted.
The thing is, there's a point where saying it's too big to fail, and it's like, I think the main issue when it comes to designing these sort of products and shit, like
Need a drive for them.
Okay. My door is partially broken. I've had to. It's not even locked, and I just keep on having to push it through. I'm gonna need to deal with like a locksmith or fucking oil to join some of the door eventually. But yeah, like it's just you have several goals in mind on Twitch, and one of them, of course, is building community. It's like the whole sort of reason a leftist might use it. You create a community that is able to support one another, able to understand each other, and if you're not super well known, then
stream to YouTube. Everybody's moving to YouTube, hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stream to YouTube. Like, same rules apply. Just go to YouTube. Start building. YouTube has better discoverability. Give Del.
I got you good,
Yeah,
Ram.
and that's honestly, I don't doubt that. Thing is, it's too big to fail. Firstly, like the thing is, it's always a ping pong game between companies that are large enough to financially support a failing venture. McDonald's, for example, is not actually based on success via selling food. A lot of it's real estate. People don't want to acknowledge that what you're actually getting, the product, is not always where they find the profit.
Right.
If you can make a product cheap, if you can make it widely available and very appealing to someone, that's not going to be something that they're profiting on. They're profiting instead off your data, or off of real estate in the case of McDonald's, or in the case of Walmart simply having a complete monopoly and using that as leverage. For like right now, Walmart is shutting down hundreds of stores in the U.S. and elsewhere, and they can just do that. That's not something, if you're a mom and pop shop, and obviously that's the dumb example everyone uses, someone's just creating a small business and they get bought out, but that does happen. And the issue isn't, let's love small businesses, they're not perfect either, they're not great at all. It's a matter of they just can't exist.
Yeah.
So when you corner a market like that, like, money isn't about just bottom lines. It's not like, you're not playing fucking, adventure capitalist. Like
Microsoft is doing the same thing with Game Pass right now, where they're just basically just trying to starve out everyone else by because the Game Pass shit is making them hemorrhage money, but Microsoft is a fucking enormous corporation, so they can afford to basically buy a monopoly. You know what I mean?
It's a war of attrition. You can seed your opponent. That's how war really works. If people view war as prevent casualties, then war wouldn't be as we see it now. That's just not how it goes. That's part of, I think, a problem with how we often view, for example, like NATO conflicts. We see it as where everyone's trying to prevent losses. No. Zelensky did not warn his citizens months in advance of the war. Instead, he militarily prepared so that he could fight
TikTok
back
is
better.
good, but the bag is not right on
Value of
TikTok. They
money
don't like
and
black
sort of
people
more
on
of a
TikTok.
Christian type mentality. That leads to people constantly dying unnecessarily, and it leads to people who actually do value human lives getting caught in that. And it, I think, mixing the two between each other when they're not. If one person, if like we're not the people that can hemorrhage, we cannot hemorrhage human lives, but we
Right.
still act anything that is too big to be comprehensible within our brains, too big to sort of be viewed like that, we end up abstracting the U.S. We end up abstracting the idea of the U.S. as a nation, and it is a nation, but we abstract it to this level where we think that anyone could be approached, that people could do that. You have to actually, to be able to fill any kind of role where you're taking up so much control, you have to have that mentality of attrition. You have to have the mentality of sacrificing humans for whatever sort of abstract value you're placing, whether it be money, victory in a war. A good example is Vietnam. You're fighting different battles quite often. Within game theory, there's that idea of, I believe it's limited versus unlimited wars, or not necessarily a term. But basically, like, if you have resources, that's just how war becomes. And that's why people say no war with a class, because that is the only war that can actually be won by the proletariat. Otherwise, you're literally just dying for some kind of idealist bullshit.
Right.
And the same thing, and it's just that's just how power structures work.
Chopping
But
out
no one
the
really
guns.
wants to acknowledge that, because to do so, I think, is to acknowledge that you don't really have power in these events that you're supposed to care about.
Right.
And that's the mentality that I find people.
Say hello to
We talk about this shit constantly, though, to the point where it makes me understand that, like, if people were actually interested in this shit, enough of us have said exactly this and a crazy amount of times that I'm about to die.
Like,
That,
yeah, you
like,
keep on dying.
I'm not gonna lie, this is like my second or third time playing multiplayer in this game. I'm not that good at it yet. Not as good as I am in a lot of other games, for sure.
Yeah.
To the point where it makes me think maybe I'd be better at it if I was using a controller, but I'm too lazy to actually get up and get it and plug it in, and then sync my Steam.
A lot of, like, within, like, sort of, like, you mentioned that, like, we're constantly repeating the same fucking shit, and it's, I think it just comes down to what are you exposed to, and, we're at, like, in your first years of life, you are a liberal.
Everyone is,
like,
yeah.
Everyone is born a liberal because that is, it's not an ideology in the traditional sense.
Straight
it's
up,
just,
like, unless you're like a Panther Cub or like a fucking, like,
Yeah.
something like that, like, you're probably gonna be a liberal at best.
well, that's how it begins, and then you have to react. Like, everyone, for example, gender, like, people talk about sort of gender non-conforming people, trans people, etc., as though it's merely what you're born as. That is, to some extent, true. You don't choose your gender, you don't choose your sexuality. I've experienced that myself. However, it's also not just some, oh, your body, like, it's not just an extension of biology, these experiences. You're reacting to sort of constructs. The way that I really learned about this, it wasn't through experiencing oppression necessarily. A lot of the oppression I've experienced is really ableism and
Yeah, I could imagine.
sort of like biphobia and shit like that, and erasure. And those kinds of experiences don't always lend themselves to understanding class struggle. So what I really did is I learned to write. If you look at people that actually know how to write,
Hannah, you're good. You're all right, Hannah.
World building. You look at George R.R. Martin or Tolkien or any of those people. Definitely not J.K. Rowling. She's an example of how not to write story. Yeah, like, everything about her sucks. I don't know. I tried to read Harry Potter. I actually hated it from the get-go because, as someone who's sort of like, I don't know if I talked about this before, but I learned to read at the age of 2, learned how to read English. I wasn't actually conversational. That's an awesome thing. But I went through speech therapy to learn, so I have a different view on language.
I learned when I was 4. I didn't, I'm not on the spectrum to that degree, but I learned to read very, very early compared to a lot of my peers. Yeah, so I relate to that.
And what the weird thing is I had my own dialect, and I was also raised basically atheist, without faith and critical of things, and I didn't really have what you'd call a culture, and it's a a lot of people will say, "Oh, white people don't have culture." That's not true.
Right.
Irish people, they're like really what happens is that whiteness is just an inclusive group where you can be segregated between it into certain groups that are considered distinct. And I'm just not necessarily part of them because I'm in Canada. So I've even like engaging in sort of Canadian nationalism, patriotism. I didn't get any of that because I didn't have firstly a cultural root within things. I moved provinces my whole life, so I had this place of sort of forced to be an outsider within culture, and then through my understanding of language, where I when I learned to read English, I had my own dialect of speaking. I would call bananas bams just because that was easier, or I'd mix words between each other, even though I was always at a higher reading level until, of course, you reach the
My
reading
game
level of that, which
crashed, by
happened,
the
I
way,
think,
so everyone
when I was
knows.
like 6 years old, and like that's sort of where I think grade fours usually are. I'm not entirely sure. And like at that point, of course, I had to sort of interpret things differently. And I've been looking at like sort of like black content creators on YouTube. I don't remember his exact name, but this guy sort of talks about sort of different dialects and how, for example, like the word ask versus axe, and how both of those are grammatically correct. Shakespeare used axe, but nowadays we've changed that, and there's always this way of something is correct even though communication is meant to actually, like, the reason we communicate is to say something to someone and actually make it clear. We're just translating what's in our heads, but instead
Right.
we turn it into an aesthetic thing. It becomes the aesthetic,
Hell
and
just said, because I got to chime in on this because I learned about this. I knew Italian people were fucking racist just because I'm from Baltimore and Little Italy and all that. But like, Hell just said, white people has so much culture. Look at The Sopranos, LMAO. And the Italian racism is different, yo. That shit is fucking, no pun intended. They call us eggplant. They call us charcoal briquette. That's creative. Like, that's some creativity when it comes to the fucking anti-blackness. Shout out to Italians for coming up with hilarious ass fucking slurs for Negroids. But I just want to throw that real quick.
yeah, like I remember I watched The Sopranos, like if we're mentioning that, like, and I just watched it and I was like, what the absolute fuck? And it, like, just because, like, I don't know, you can get used to bigotry when it's normalized and it seems, I don't know, the word isn't civilized. It's not a good way. Well, it
Right.
is a way that most
I
people
was
put it,
gonna
but
say
really,
that's sorry. I was talking to say
no,
Selassie. Yeah. Muli was the first word I heard. Moulignon, that was the first. That's how I knew they were racist. Because I would get called that around Little Italy and had to ask what that meant. And
Jesus. It's
you
like the
vote
fucking
like a
weirdest
dem and
thing.
act like a lib within the system. Well, I mean, what do you do outside the system? But go ahead. I'm sorry, Zeron.
No, it's fucking all good. I don't mind you responding to chat. You're on a stream. When it comes to sort of like that kind of experience, I don't get that. Like, again, it's a sort of thing of people who are like, there are guys who will say, "Oh, I'm all rid of my biases because I've decided I'm a socialist." Good for you, you fucking. I don't want to say idiot because that's ableist, and I have experienced ableism. But yes, idiot, because this kind of idea of like you can just get rid of that. No, it's not. I think we've really fucked up in describing privilege and describing any of these things, because really it just comes from experience. If you have experienced any form of bigotry, you will understand it, and you will most likely not contribute to it unless you are a self-hating type person, and that's its own issue. But at the same time, like that kind of what you experience, you simply don't regurgitate most often. And if you do regurgitate, it's because of some sort of cycle of violence type bullshit that is just another issue. Like, again, I'm repeating myself, but like when it comes to the actual shit that I am trying to get through with leftism, I see people who will these kind, like, I guess radlib is the proper term, destiny type people who they think that they can label themselves out of it. The idea of an ally, for example, it's something that I despise, the fucking term. Like, I am not an
Let's go.
ally. Are you saying let's go to me?
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I am white as fuck. I am Irish, Scottish, and Dutch, and I am not an ally to black people. That's not what it. I'm not going to go fucking posting BLM or black screens because, and that's not like I'm not trying to perform. I'm literally just saying that that's not anything.
It's not.
Doing that, it's you're not going to address it. It makes you like this self-hating bullshit. Like
I've said the same thing to like other streamers on here. Like, fam, you going back and forth with transphobes and turfs and shit on Twitter all day. Don't do shit for trans people, my. That's cool. It's fun, You know what I mean? I'm petty. I'll go back and forth with a fucking egg on Twitter all day, but like
An
that's
egg?
not
You
that's
mean like
not
somebody who
action.
doesn't know these things?
What's that?
An egg? Are you referring to people who don't know they're trans yet? but
Oh no
are?
no no
Or-
no no no! No. I'm talking about like fresh accounts. Like their profile picture is an egg on Twitter.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was
I
confused
know that
because
was confusing. Yeah.
I'm like, why would you be harassing?
I
Them.
care so much about trans people that I fucking bully people who are going
Yeah.
through dysphoria. You know what I mean?
Become
It's just how
trans
I get busy.
faster.
Yeah, I'm an accelerationist. You know what I mean?
God.
I'm a
Fucking
gender
accelerationist.
accelerationist.
I don't know. There's this thing where I think all of us are experiencing some form of ableism, some form of bigotry around things. There's a reason that meant that like all the feminists that like early feminists in like the first second wave of feminism, there's a reason a lot of them were draft dodgers and like helped men of draft dodges. I mean,
Draft dodging is base. That's why.
that's firstly, yes, it's fucking based, but also like Emma Goldman, for example, she's basically a fourth wave feminist who was born in the era of first wave feminism and also really well known socialist and all this stuff.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
she,
say there's a local like anarchist coffee shop near me called Red Emma's Cafe.
wow, and like she fought against draft dodging because she fought for draft dodges and fought sort of to make that something mainstream and all this shit.
I know Hell
because
just cringed at that
that's a
mention.
form
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
patriarchy,
see the
the
ha ha
idea
ha.
that
There it is.
that men ought to fight wars and they ought to be this disposable thing, and then afterwards you have to have a big baby boom type thing. That's a way of institutionalizing this sort of nationalist control and bringing that into the family and making and sort of then you have the people who are grieving then have to fight the next war. And then you weaponize that grief through fucking veteran holidays that you treat like we treat it like, oh, we're mourning them, but in reality they're just being used so that fucking army recruiters can come in and mobilize people based on their grief. That type of shit, a lot of it just comes down to weaponizing generational trauma, and I think that kind of shit, like these things are universal experiences. People are harmed. Men are harmed by feminism. Even at points, white people they don't recognize that white privilege leads them to not actually be able to be balanced people sometimes.
Oh
Like
yeah.
a fucking like raging racist is not going to have a happy family life. They're
Fuck
likely to
no.
be a fucking abuser.
Yeah, I mean that's the intersection though. Is that capitalism reinforces white supremacy and vice versa, reinforces feminism and vice versa, reinforces transphobia, vice versa. Like they're all moving parts in the same machine, and my game just booting back up.
Yeah. I think people think that they're going to benefit from things in the end, and like subconsciously someone who is sort of like this like there are people who are now saying that they're like Christian nationals. 61% of Republicans I think now admit to that, and I say now admit because they already were.
Right.
Like it's like being closeted. And really
Right.
there is a subconscious element, and
That's why I don't trust a
and
lot
then-
of these air quotes reformed reactionaries, because you're just hiding your power level, my G. I see you.
hiding your power. That's a great way of putting it, honestly. Like I think that when it comes to sort of reformed like reactionary type people, I think a lot of it comes down to how is shame expressed, because we're all ashamed of something. Shame is the currency of our culture. And that's not a quote. I just that's the first time I've ever said that. Really, it's just shame is how we sort of transact that power within hierarchies that aren't class, within hierarchies that are related to class but aren't. Within sort of like again, there's that idea of sort of, for example, like a self-hating gay person who I've met them. I've been on the weird part
Christian
of
Walker.
I am I've seen the worst that at least the worst that the internet has to offer in terms of people. And like I've seen shit like Kiwi Farms in the mid 2010s, and that's not to say that I'm special. Everyone's seen.
Oh no, I'm right there with you. I would have this conversation with Ellie because like my first introduction to all this shit was like back in like 2009 2010. I joined the Satanic International Network because I was an edgy atheist in my late teens, early 20s. So
is that related to the Satanic Temple or
no? It's
or
not
is it
related to
more
Satanic
atheist
Temple.
focused?
No. It's just this dude, Zach Black, that was like, I'm gonna make a satanic social media site, and it's to this day the only, the either the last or the only one to my knowledge. And I met a bunch of people in there who were kind of into politics, but more so like you know, it was a bunch of white dudes, so it was all ANCAP vibes. And I've already been an anarchist, like in principle, from the time before I even understood politics. Like, I want everything to be free, especially books, like related to being literate and all that stuff, and seeing my peers and how fucked up kids who couldn't read got. Like, I wanted to make every single book on planet Earth fucking free. So that was just the time that I was on. So the anarchist shit, even though it was ANCAP shit, because I didn't understand the role that capitalism plays in oppression yet, that was my introduction to the politics shit. And I got into Stefan Molyneux. Like, I thought his video, The Story of Your Enslavement, where he's talking about how people are cows on a farm, I thought that was fucking ether back in the day. I would describe it more today as slaves on a plantation. But that particular analogy I thought was fucking fire. And I was 10 toes down for Stefan Molyneux way back. It's fucking kind of embarrassing, but that's how I ended up in the like debate and shit like world, is because I would watch, shout out to the Skeptical Heretic. I know he is at least aware of my channel because he fucking noticed me. Senpai noticed me and acknowledged and commented on one of my YouTube videos. But
We're doing this as a favor to CPL.
Skeptical Heretic was the first person, because he would describe himself as a neo-technocrat, and that's what got me into thinking about capitalism and different ways to do that.
With CPL has
And I don't know if he still feels that way now, but he described himself as that at the time. And
just be careful. Don't get
I
over
would
your
just
heights.
watch him go back and
Complete as
forth
many
with,
objectives
because
as you
this
can,
was
and we'll
when
get you out.
Ryan Falk
Good luck.
first popped up.
Yeah.
Y'all might know him as Alternative Hypothesis. I knew him as
We're
Fringe
still working out the
Elements
bugs on
back
that
in the day.
contamination meter.
I'll be
If
totally
it
honest,
makes any weird
only name
noises,
I recognize
please
is
mention
Stefan
that in the
Molyneux, and
survey.
I've never watched anything with him in it.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
wouldn't
like
recommend it.
you found the exact part of like these reactionary and sort of edgy atheist types that I have not been aware of. Somehow.
How the fuck did he get way over there, G? Alright, hold up.
Totally hacking. Just type in chat. You cheated, bro. That gets people really angry. I don't really love to troll, but if I do troll, like, gets people.
That's his fucking fault, too. I'm following this dude. All of a sudden, I hear gunfire like 8 fucking miles behind me.
I wonder if I ever
shit.
get back into competitive games. I don't know. I don't think I have a mindset for it, honestly. It's funny though, because I see conflict constantly verbally. It's just it's a really weird thing. Like if you are marginalized, there's a specific kind of marginalization that I recognize that no one really talks about. It's very specifically related to how you speak and what relates to your voice and how you use it.
Right.
And everyone faces some form of this. It can be related to your accent and sort of how that impacts based on culture and whatever culture is considered, whatever the hegemony really is. And I didn't face that necessarily, not really, at least not to my knowledge, but I did experience just constant, like, people telling me you speak too loud, you speak too fast, these kind of things that may
Yeah, I'm
be
down,
useful.
hell. Sorry, I was, yeah, I'm down to go shoot for sure. I'm still with the shits, so.
You're
Sorry.
with the shit.
Yeah, it's Hell Now. It was actually the homie, she established, or was like, helped organize a group that was for, like, trans femme, like, BIPOCs.
Oh, nice.
For, you know, like, firearms safety and training and shit. Basically, just, like, bunch of fucking ladies, bunch of black people, fucking hitting the range.
Aim at the bright spot.
We used to link up with, the last time we were out there, actually, the SRA was there, and we were talking to them for hopping in.
Cool.
Yeah, you be easy too. Be safe, Hal. Hit my line whenever.
I really wish I had that kind of experience. I didn't really have much of a real-life social life. Not really ever. You know, like, I think the first 5 years of your life really determine a lot about your experience, and if the first 5 years of your life are firstly not really speaking much, and then also being put in ABA therapy, I put therapy in quotes there, where you're basically just I was forced to speak, and so speaking and how that really affects my life and how that relates to firstly writing, poetry, all these spoken word type shit, and how just all that stuff, it's like a core aspect of how I see things, and and yet it's seen as so trivial to some people. Like,
Oh
engaging in
no,
conversation,
I get
for
it
example.
completely.
Yeah, and like that very verbal aspect of interaction, it is, for example, if, like right now, I'm talking to you completely. There's no nonverbal communication going on right now, unless you consider sort of like the silence nonverbal. There's a gray area, not really explored often, and like that kind of aspect of communication. For example, in psychology, there's so much fucking theory to how we deal with things, but then I look at people and they're really just engaging in one of two ways. They're either properly empathizing and properly, and I say properly not in terms of procedure, but in terms of like if you're limiting yourself based on some fucking criteria and like you enter a conversation with sort of that preamble and if you're defining yourself based on the location of something, like I go on a Twitter space or I go in a chat room and I don't actually change much. Now I'll react, and that's just what we do. We reflect what has been said, and we're a lot like circus mirrors in that way, where we react to it, and we change it. We're input output. But at the same time, if you just come into something and you expect to push a certain framework of a discussion, unless that's agreed upon, it fails, and that's what I've always struggled with. And I know it sounds like a very, very almost basic concept, but it applies to a whole fucking lot of things. That if someone is, when you're neurotypical, and I think honestly about half the people I believe are neurotypical. In it's those gray areas like depression and anxiety are incredibly common.
Yeah.
Different types of depression could be considered situational, some aren't. And there's also the aspect of it, if PTSD is neurodivergent, which it is, then of course you can, then in that case you can cause neurodivergence.
Right.
If most veterans who have PTSD, I'd argue most veterans, at least those that have experienced trauma or even basic training, causes fucking PTSD.
I was gonna say, I know someone that tried to kill themselves behind basic, so.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they got sent home. They went out, like, we were all hyped. He said he was joining the Marines, and we were like, you know, stay based. You know what I mean? Because it was, I wasn't fully 100% on code yet, the way that I am now, but I was starting to become anti-capitalist and shit. And so basically, we had our going away parties and shit, and said our goodbyes, and we're just straight like, well, stay based, basically. Like, don't let them stuff your head in that fucking jar. And I think it was like day 4. He just wanted to come home so fucking bad. I don't think he actually did anything. What I think he did was just be like, yo, you gotta send me home. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm finna Roblox. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they were like, cause they vet you, because people do that shit just to go home all the time. And he had to, like, and this is the fucked up part, he had to explain to them, like, in explicit detail, exactly how he was thinking about doing it, like how he was about to do it, in order to convince them that he was being serious to send it home. Like, he had to be like, yeah, I would just flat out fucking bust the glass in the window in the barracks and fucking get busy. That's what he was talking about doing.
There's no lawyers for psych patients. There's no lawyers for how your drill sergeant treats you. Like, I literally am not allowed to go to the military. I have one kidney. Now, there's a lot of other reasons too, including mental health, but that's really the main kicker, is there's a lot of shit I can't do because I have a single kidney.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because there are a lot of other factors that actually affect me more, but regardless, I still know a good deal about that kind of, like, fucking just disturbing shit in the military of how people are treated, mainly because, like, if you ever heard of on YouTube, there's a channel, Mike Burnfire. Basically, it's these two guys, military veterans. One's from the Marines, I believe, the other from the U.S. Army. I believe the one in the U.S. Army was a gunsmith, and they play a lot of Fallout and shit. But basically, there's a lot of, like, I probably listened to maybe 100 hours of discussion about, like, how people, the kind of experiences they've had at night. It's, for the first hour that you hear about a subject, it is shocking. That is the sort of immediate period, but then you realize it becomes normal for that person, and they have to react to it. It's always this reaction to whatever trauma might be inflicted. And, like, the military will dehumanize people in the same way, for example, I have seen dehumanization in psychiatry And in fact, for example, people that I know who I've not experienced it to the extent that they have, but I have experienced sort of that paternalist kind of control, like
That's what
people who are suicidal. Like I know a person who actually was suicidal and also was considered to be at risk for being a school shooter. They never did. They didn't even own a gun, but they were considered at risk, and they were changed to a radiator after they attempted to commit suicide.
Whoa.
Yeah, and yeah,
Oh,
I don't know
man.
them very much anymore, but that makes them so much worse. That's the weirdest part of that. It comes down to control. Everything I
Reloading,
think comes
people.
down to control, whatever element of control that is. If I had to reduce the world into anything, it would be people trying to control each other because they can't address that they can control, or maybe people not knowing what power they have. We're all fucking convinced that we have more or less than we have, and you get yourself put in a system where you have none, but then you're told that it's all about coping. And what the hell? That does a lot. That does something to your brain.
Yeah.
It really fucking does something to your brain. I was in high school, in middle school and elementary. I was constantly. A lot of it came down to school. It's all like prison, not in the fucking stupid sense that kids will say about, oh, it's like prison because you have to stay in classes. No. But they do have a point, and the reason, and they're coming at it from a very authentic view that what's really going on is constant alienation
Oh
based
yeah.
on visuals that make no fucking sense.
I personally, I was how do I put this? I was a bit of a problem child as a class clown, but also just like a mischief maker. Fucking anarchist. I like to fucking cause chaos where there's order. So I would, in 6th grade, I got put in this shit called ALC. That was legit just like the school's version of prison. It was called, the ALC stood for Alternative Learning Center, and it was legit just this like, this wing of the school that was like cold as fuck. They didn't have no heat in there, and they had like bars all across the windows and shit, and you just had to like face the wall. You weren't allowed to speak. It was straight Bernard system vibes. I'm like, you see me, I'm black, so like I was afraid to act out too much because I'd get my fucking ass beat. But people go crazy in there. I would be in there, people flipping desks and shit, like, and I don't know. I shouldn't say go crazy. I don't know, I'm trying to adjust my language.
I don't really worry about just when it comes to language. Like I am all in this like the school thing, but like I don't really worry about someone saying, for example, the word crazy. Like what I get worried about is the idea that
People being dismissed with those types of that type of language.
Well, it's firstly dismissal, but also the idea it's hard to quantify ableism because ableism is rooted in language. Now, to completely say you can't use the word crazy, it's like telling a bunch of people that they can't say the N word. Now, the main thing it does. Now, the issue with that isn't, oh, we're trying to have conformity. No, the issue is that it makes people say the N word.
Right.
It makes people have this idea that there's some kind of greater power to that. Now, the idea of, for example, craziness, it's a condition that someone might have, and there's firstly a lot of misogyny and ableism connected in the idea of, for example, hysteria. We stopped saying the word hysteria, and the reason we did so was not just because, oh, it's not accurate. It was really because we recognized how it was weaponizing is really a word that we have to use a lot more, I think. It's an issue of, are you weaponizing the term or is it just there? And if you're talking about yourself, the idea of going crazy is a genuine concept.
Oh my god.
It's not playing the
I'm playing with a bunch of fucking children right now. It's made me waste my fucking ball. I'm sorry. But yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Like,
yeah. Like, there are those that'll go around on Twitter policing terms, and, or they'll, like, and I don't mind that. People being accountable is something that we don't really have. Like, people go on Twitter and act like their free speech is being violated because they got called out. For example, Dave Chappelle going around, my free speech is being destroyed. No, you just got paid $50 million or something from Netflix.
right.
For doing a bunch of misinformation about a marginalized community that's constantly attacked, and,
Doing the brave work of attacking the people with no power whatsoever.
And then when people actually called him out, the people that got canceled were the Netflix employees that got fired for it, most of whom were trans. So like that's not. I don't know. It's the idea that the idea that your actions are being policed on a sort of arbitrary basis isn't a good way of viewing it, because no one's. The fact is, you do have control over what you say, and the idea that that there's some sort of morality police going around. The only morality police that we've had is historical, really. Currently, you go on Twitter, you get banned, you create a new account. This isn't actual consequence. Back in other ages, fucking witch trials. People now like Trump going on about, oh, there's a new fucking witch trial. I mean, this is the greatest witch trial in all of history. No, women who are queer, who are neurodivergent, who were just not willing to completely submit, they got burned. That's what we do.
They got fucking lobotomized and shit. Like, yeah, it's.
Yeah. And I have been threatened with being, and I'm considered capable. I currently live, currently on my own. That's a recent change, and I'm fine. I'm not perfect. I don't have a perfect living conditions, but I survive. And even though I struggle to work, I'm not incompetent. I'm also considered, according to tests, above average in intelligence. That's not a brag. I'm literally saying that my mother and other people in my family have told me, oh, I've been threatened with being registered as incompetent by a judge. Even though that would never actually go through, it was used as the alternative to a whip. Yeah, because my mother was abused physically and verbally and all these things, but she has this idea that if she doesn't abuse someone physically, then it's not abusive, and that makes it okay. So instead, it's been a matter of everything from financial, which I can't get out of welfare. I ended up working maybe 15, 20 hours a week, and I nearly died because diabetes is really hard to handle when you're constantly on call. For example, doing dishwashing and type shit. Yeah. And that's really, really, really hard to do all those at once when you also have ADHD and other shit.
Right. It's a lot of plates to spin.
Don't thank me, just keep shooting.
Yeah, and when I left that for my own fucking safety after I nearly died of ketoacidosis and was in the IC for 2 days, it was used against me. They're currently like, Britney Spears, the whole conservationist.
Yeah, the conservative shit. Yeah.
There were recently laws that are passed to fight against that, and that's great. I'm really happy. I am not the kind of person that goes around saying, oh, we don't care about Britney because we're socialists. She's a fucking... No, she's a celebrity.
Yeah,
she's in
like, the spectacle is what I don't give a fuck about, but like...
Yeah, the spectacle is the problem. It can still be used, and the spectacle is not an inherently bad thing. It's much like propaganda. You can use it for your own good. There's a reason that socialists didn't all decide to be boring. The ones that decided to be boring were forgotten.
Right.
And so, like, when I look at that, not only I see change happening, and I see laws being altered, which is amazing. At the same time, there are still people, anyone that is, for example, nonverbal, or is in any way disabled, physically or mentally, or is just neurodivergent, these people are actually exempt from a lot of these changes. Anyone that is nonverbal can, like, there are people, there's actually a story, like, Free Anthony, I believe, is like, the whole thing going on now. I can actually get the, 1 second, I have, yeah, I'll share this post, oh, it's Andrew. So basically, let me just get to this. Yeah, they have this kid who is, okay, actually, I'm just gonna read out the thing. Okay, so Andrew, this kid who was turning, when he turned 18, he was encouraged by the regional center to get a limited conservatorship, and his parents decided, let's do that. And, his own mother, Deborah, was, basically, the California Department of Developmental Services, also known as DDS, competed with her and gained ownership of the child, also known as conservatorship. And now Deborah is not allowed to see her own child in person.
Wow, that's fucked.
She's been allowed less than 100 hours of contact with him in the last 3 years, and he's spent over $300,000 in legal fees to fight this. This is in California, one of the places where visibility and sales is actually pretty decent. But in recent laws by California, to supposedly aid the disabled, I think it was known as the CARE Act, there has also been granted many more paternalist abilities of the state. I can actually, where would I put links in the server?
Oh, you can put them in general.
Okay. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
so
trying to make my server better so I have different like areas to put that type of stuff. The only thing I really made was like a different separate mutual aid page so that won't get lost in the clutter of the general. But I'm still working
if you ever
on my
need help,
Discord server.
if you ever need help with like administration and type shit on Discord, I've been doing that for years. I can probably even help get costs in. It might help.
Red Bob, get out of range.
Yeah. Of course, appreciate you too. But like when it comes to this kind of specific type shit, it's something that that's been talked about for the fucking longest time. Like, do you know? Everyone knows the name Helen Keller, right? Like everyone knows that she's a living person and that she's a historical figure. But do you know when she was born?
She was born the same year that MLK was, I think. I want to say.
I'm not aware of that. Probably.
That was one of those things I keep reading. It was one of those things and I could be wrong, but it was like one of those like not quite infographics, but like not really a meme, but it was just like one of those things that I was like, bet you didn't know this type shit.
Yeah. Light check. Nope. Actually, MLK is a lot younger.
Oh, wow.
Helen Keller was born in 1880, and MLK was born in 1929. Now, Helen Keller is actually really,
Arm hit.
well, I'm not going to say based. I'm going to say very, very radical, and was, in fact, a Marxist and socialist, and the kind of like I've read essays and studies and stuff about
Reloading,
disability rights, and in sort of the neurodivergence movement, and stuff from the early 2000s reads exactly the same as the stuff that she wrote in the 40s. Over half a century, so more than half, like on the better end of a century, we have gained nothing from what her views were on this, but no one fucking cares.
Right.
She is a name that is sometimes repeated and talked about, and it's a wonder to us. It is an exception. Now, in the USSR, before Stalin, now Stalin fucks everything. We all know this. But before Stalin, under Lenin, in the USSR, there were programs that were wanting to emulate what was done with her. Part of this came down to the fact that she was a socialist, and people were like, well, she might have good ideas. And they decided to adopt this. And there was a school for the deaf-blind in the USSR that tried a similar approach to what was tried with her. And students at these schools who were deaf and blind, to at least a legal degree, meaning being legally deaf and legally blind does not mean complete lack of vision, complete lack of sight, like Helen Keller was bleeding. So it differed, but regardless, there were those that were completely deaf-blind in both cases, and that were able to learn to communicate with each other and to be able to feed themselves, to clothe themselves. That's why Helen Keller was able to read and write and able to do things that were, to do speeches. It starts with basic self-care. Those are not skills we're taught as disabled people. I wasn't taught self-care. I
feel like a lot of abled people don't really fucking, or like neurotypical people don't fucking taught self-care, honestly.
Yeah, and I had to learn it myself, and I'm a very, I don't know, I wouldn't call it stubborn. I've been told I'm stubborn. I've been told I'm litigious. I've been told all this bullshit because people have this idea that I'm Sheldon Cooper. And but really what it was is I adapted individually, much like Helen Keller. And I did not have nearly the same fucking challenges. But through this sort of teaching in the USSR, they were able to find a way of teaching that actually worked for people. And it's, the amazing thing is that, when Stalin came around, he got rid of it. He said that people who were deafblind could not be valid workers, that they would always be the means of production. Yes, Stalin was actually, like
It's not very based, Stalin.
Marxist-Leninists actually kind of suck at dealing with disability, and that's not to say that Marxist-Leninism isn't a good way of viewing things, but Maoism was
No time to die,
far
Mike.
more effective at addressing.
I was gonna say that's kind of
And
weird.
more modern views on this kind of stuff.
Wake up,
Again,
sleepyhead.
they had the knowledge from people like Helen Keller, and were able to adopt it and were able to make things that work. But instead, shut down these schools. There's videos on this that I might link sometime because this kind of discussion is really good to have, where these ideas are like knowledge dies, knowledge is burned. It is not. We do not create new knowledge. We simply answer a question and then find more questions within it. Like I know people often quote Einstein randomly and want to act like I don't know the fucking you know that quote, "Don't trust everything you read on the internet" by Albert Einstein. But like there is a real quote from him that says that what we do know is much like the diameter of a circle, while what we don't is the circumference. The more you know, the more you won't. And it never ends on that question. We don't ever end on that. So, and another thing to note is that it can always shrink. Magnus Hirschfeld, who I often mention, because, well, interesting figure that no one really talks about, was this Jewish-German gay sexologist in Germany, obviously, in the born around the same time as Helen Keller, lived until 1930. He wasn't killed by the Nazis. People make that mistake, but his books were burned, and he was he wrote about lesbianism, about gay men and how they interact, and how they're and sort of the differences, and created centers to aid these people, even creating. Like, even performing, I believe, sex change surgery type stuff. Not actually performing the surgery, but sort of supervising that kind of stuff, and making it possible for people to actually safely have procedures that would save them, that would allow them to live life as they lived it in their mind. And that's always been the way to handle mental health, really. It's funny, like, you know, like all these, like, trans folks who will say that sort of being trans is a delusion, and that the only way to deal with that is to follow the delusion. Now, if I take that to the logical extreme and say, imagine that it is like a delusion. Let's imagine Alzheimer's now. In treating Alzheimer's, people have to actually accept that delusion, because if you constantly challenge someone who's deluded, it only creates trauma.
Right.
Well, it's simply they are actually being gaslighted when you do that. Everyone has their own internal reality, and for those who are trans, their reality is manifested the same as we see it. There will always be a contradiction in those that are trans until gender is until we liberate ourselves from gender roles.
Right.
The issue is not that they exist, the issue is that the contradiction comes from things like our exaggeration of gender in how we force people to exaggerate their gender in order to be considered valid. But that's the thing that he talked about, actually, this Magnus Hirschfeld. But in his writings Germany was quite progressive in the 20s, but the thing is, the Treaty of Versailles was this horrible fucking decision that, if we're actually talking material conditions, led to fascism, because when you are not the nation that caused it, what caused World War I was the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, and everyone deciding, let's go to war. And then learning how bad of an idea that was, because trench warfare was a new kind of warfare, and people realized war is hell. But after that, people decided, let's blame Germany. Then Nazism happens. We all know this. And so they blamed everyone. And what happens after that, though, is really interesting, because no one looks at the reconstruction of Germany. For example, after that war, so many carpenters. You know what the main job was for a carpenter was in 1946? Removing swastikas from buildings, carving them out, using chisels and stuff to destroy them. They had to carve it out of their walls, what was already there, and they had to rebuild. Books that were burned had to be reprinted. Right. There was this mess in the economy. The reason that there's a resurgence in Western European economies is because so much was destroyed that it has to be rebuilt. That it's always the Black Death. Third of Europe died from that. And true inheritance is through this sort of. They still have the grain, even if they didn't have the farmers for it. They still have the fields and the land. That there has to be a growth after a fall, eventually. It's like a harpy. And so through that, they revitalized so many things. And what they didn't revitalize is something that's often forgotten. They didn't forget, sorry. They chose not to rebuild the knowledge that Magnus Hirschfeld had built. Many of his works are destroyed, and are either very hard to find or just impossible to find. We don't even know the titles of them. And that's because, well, kill all the trans people that who's left to want those folks to be helpful. If you kill all the people that actually care, that actually are affected by something, then it's very hard to come back from that. Now, we know about that in terms of Jewish people. We know the resurgence of that culture, but other cultures didn't resurface. There was not an ability to have that. And so, in the 2010s and now, currently the 2020s, we have people that argue that it's not. We have clear evidence that research into transgender people and into, firstly, the sociological effects of this, the psychological. It's not all biology. It wasn't biology in the 1800s. Why would it be biology in the 2020s?
Right.
and yet we still argue that these
fill
things are
that core
new.
with bullets. It's
And
tough,
that's something
but
that I
none of them kill
just don't. These are things that I don't engage with anymore. I just simply won't engage with a person that believes that they know everything because they're not going to be discussing. They're going to be trying to win a fucking argument. And
Exactly.
that's what, for example, Athens was a really shitty democracy. The one good thing with Athens was that it was a direct democracy. You were voting directly on action most of the time. That you were putting a rock in to say do this, or a bubble in to do that in specific boxes. Now,
down.
aside from that, it was a matter of landowning rich people. That it's just the deal in most democracies when they begin that it's very, very limited, and that those people that were influential were debating each other, and that it wasn't debate as a structure. It did not exist necessarily to improve knowledge. If that was how it functioned, then Democritus is this man, very, very ancient. I believe he's older than Socrates. In fact, I can actually look that up right now. Who is older, Democritus or Socrates? Okay, one second.
What up,
Yeah, okay.
Low King Jinx?
Pre-Socratic. So, pre-Socratic means that he was born before Socrates, and that he was this very ancient philosopher. And he had created an atomic theory of the universe, and that was an insanely early idea.
It's artificial, right?
He was born 460 years before the supposed birth of Jesus.
Yes. The samples
that
it was
is-
carrying sowed this island like seeds.
His work didn't survive, and the main reason for this is because he wasn't a good debater.
It's the youngest
If you debate
zone
something
on
about
the planet.
gravity, you
Already
lose.
bigger than
Then
some
what
of the
happens
old
to
ones.
gravity?
Shards
Nothing.
of Object X
Nothing
are not
happens to
naturally
gravity
in
when
that
you lose that argument.
And we
And
delivered
yet
them
we
to
act
the
like that's not the
surface
case.
safely.
Right.
And that is the debate I won't
That
have.
expedition was a mistake.
If a man discovers the atom, I believe, let's see, he discovered the atom about over 1400 years. I'm sorry, over 2400 years ago,
The one that will haunt me forever.
and that is.
Contamination increase detected. Be advised.
Yeah, 2400 years ago is a long fucking time, over two millennium, and yet none of his works survived to this day, and he was considered a laughingstock by any accounts of how he was known by many people. Aristotle, the man who believed that the sun was reborn every day, and that because you could measure it from your eyes, that it was an inch long. That man was the most influential man alive in his corner of the. That's not a sign that debate works. We've
Right.
proven that it works since literally ancient history. We've proven that it falls apart at the slightest bit of nuance, and that these ideas, no matter how bad they are, they still survive.
Yep.
Because influential ideas aren't like that's one problem I have, I think, with Marxism sometimes, is the idea that a good idea survives because it's a good idea. I hear people tell me that someone like Democritus was simply not ready for the material conditions of like his ideas, and that it was just inevitable that another person would come along and discover the atom. No. Inevitability is an idiotic view of the world, and it's not necessarily an issue of individualism, it's an issue with the idea that there's some kind of natural selection of ideas. If you look into memetics, which is the study of memes, more specifically the study of knowledge spread through sort of internet type culture and stuff.
Right on. It's funny you mentioned that because Hell, that was just in here, is like an expert in memes. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wish she was still here for this conversation.
No, I'm monologuing. You feel free to interrupt. Please do actually. I'll end it here. Like nothing is good because it is. That's the one thing that I'm fucking done with. Debates aren't good because they've been used so often. The fact is that the Platonic view of the world, also known as Platonic realism. Now, I don't mean a non-romantic relationship. I mean, and I'm not talking about like, oh, you're Platonic best friends. That's actually a bastardized version of it, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I'm actually rather happy that's the main usage of that word. Platonic realism refers to the idea that there is a Platonic ideal of every concept. That there is a Platonic chair. Now it's hard to argue what that looks like. That's where debate comes in. the idea of what is the perfect chair. It doesn't mean what is the best chair. The best chair is probably pretty comfortable. You might even want to sleep in it, but maybe if you can sleep in the chair, then it's a lounger, or it's another word that you're using. And through certain constructs of words, of language, you could control the world. In fact, Plato considered himself, with his utmost fucking arrogance, to be the Platonic philosopher. Plato, the Platonic philosopher, aka the ideal philosopher. And so, I learned this stuff in my history class in college. My philosophy class in college. One of my actual only class that I really truly enjoyed because I had a great teacher. And in learning about this, like, you have to recognize that that idea still exists. These ideas that are so ancient that are, like, it wasn't necessarily a religious concept. It wasn't even the idea that it necessarily is material. It was a view of the world. It was how realism existed. And you had to try and match that idea.
I'm just letting Xeron cook for a minute.
I
just like listening to Xeron
and they would
talk about
probably say I'm bastardizing their idea. Obviously, everything I say has to be some form of straw man unless I really want to go into deepness on it. That's just how discussing things often works. It's very hard to be opposed to something without depicting it from your own viewpoint. But suffice to say, that is the Wikipedia version of Platonic realism, and that idea still comes about. We still have that. We have this idea. They have to appeal to the perfect, being the perfect man, the perfect woman. Advertisement is based on Platonic realism constantly. And that's where maybe the perfect nation comes in, the perfect king, the philosopher king. The idea of a person who doesn't want to be royalty, who is born and groomed into royalty. In fact, this exists in the, have you read the Song of Ice and Fire series? It's the, novel version of Game of Thrones.
Nah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just talking about how much I don't care about Game of Thrones. I don't know. I haven't read that, no.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that, I'm not actually getting... It's not really a deep spoiler, but it's just more in the deeper lore of it, that in the book series, there's a character who is being raised to be the king, and who is raised specifically in the idea of that philosopher king concept, where it's someone who... Again, like, this concept is used in the modern day. Again, George R. R. Martin, a very good writer, has this idea that the best king in the world has to be the one who doesn't want to rule, who is raised and groomed to rule, and is isolated and treated it to be this ideal figure, that you can groom a king, that's the way to rule, that it shouldn't be democracy, it shouldn't be people sort of controlling their own lives, that you have to create a god, essentially. And that idea came from Plato. Not just because Plato believed in it, but also because it really, it held on that idea of Platonic realism, that you could create the perfect chair. Instead you're creating the perfect philosopher king. And as this philosopher who was very arrogant, that's a great idea to him. So Jon Snow also, if you've ever even seen Game of Thrones, Jon Snow kind of fits that idea too. They mucked that up in the ending, but that would have been another example of it. Someone who is so humble that they could be perfect at a job because of it's really just a lot of bullshit. This it's an idea that you need to have conformity to everything. It is absolute conformity. And it's very, very hard to escape that, I think. And that's sort of where our ideas of, for example, anarcho-capitalism might even apply to this, where I don't hear people actually explaining materially how anarcho-capitalism functions. They in fact appeal to human nature as people will always appeal to this human nature that whenever it's convenient for them, because we don't actually define our human nature.
I was going to say, there's literally everything inside of human nature. There's good and evil.
Human nature is the manifestation of all human action. Of all consistent human action. You can find patterns in everything. We are great at finding patterns. See, I've been monologuing. Like, what kind of thoughts do you have on what I've been saying overall?
I just been letting you cook, because I just been playing the game and like listening to you and just kind of following you. But I honestly don't really even have anything to add. Just like, you've kind of laid out everything that I've been saying over and over again on this shit for the past like 6 months since I first made the mistake of getting involved in the like Twitch debate sphere. Is that like there is like you said, there is this like weird belief that good ideas win because they're good, and there's like a million fucking examples to demonstrate the contrary. But it's to the point where I think people who trot that out as a talking point, like people who are like, we need to talk to these people because other people will talk to them, or we need to talk to them so that they understand that they have a community that they can escape from radical politics to come to, etc., etc., etc. I don't believe that any of the people who say that shit actually believe it, just because if you spend any amount of time doing that, and I mean any amount of time, whether it's an hour or a year, you'll know how useless it is. I think the people who say that understand better than the rest of us that just because an idea is good doesn't mean it's going to persevere. Because they know the shit's a bad idea. They've seen it demonstrated that it's a bad idea before their very eyes. Because a lot of these people, when I ask them, how many people have you converted? What work have they done in the real world? And how did you convert them? Everybody's jaw hits the floor. Humana. Because it's not, they don't care. They can't quantify any of that. They get mad at you when you ask them to quantify it as if it's not a quantifiable thing. And it's like, it's just, like I said, I don't think the people who repeat that shit actually believe it. I think that it's a good smokescreen for people who don't know any better. It just sounds good. It's just pure rhetoric. People who have no experience, either politically or dealing directly with like fascists or whoever. People who have no experience with that will readily believe that because they have no frame of reference. Yeah, go after that 51% of people that don't vote. Majority of America over this small, weird demographic. Yeah. A lot of people in America literally physically cannot vote. Like, they cannot legally vote. Whether because they're a felon, or they're under the age of 18, or they're not a legal resident of the United States of America, even though they literally pay taxes in this country. There's a myriad reasons of why a person would not be legally able to vote, which is why I think focusing on voting and electoralism in politics is myopic. I won't say it's unimportant, because there's certain shit. Oh, zero on some apple. My bad. I won't say that play healer. Somebody already picked the healer. Otherwise I would play healer. I main heals. I don't know if you know who I am, Jinx, or anything about me. I doubt it, but like I main heals.
We need you to conduct
every game I
field
play. I main
research in the
healer
Pharaoh's impact
until
zone.
somebody fucking.
We're doing this
snatches
as a
the shit
favor to
before I can break it.
CPL, Dr. Sullivan's company.
But by the way,
which has been providing us with
I
crystalline
had to
based
restart my phone
weapons.
because internet issues.
Can't say I completely
problem.
agree with
I'll
their
be here when you're
methods,
back.
but our
No, I'm still-
cooperation
no, I already-
with
I already
CPL has
started.
been
Oh,
mutually
wait,
beneficial
okay.
thus far.
But yeah,
And it's
like
in
some
our
of them
best
saying in
interest to
chat,
keep it going.
these people that can't vote
Just
absolutely can be
careful.
political. Like, look at the
Don't
fucking
get over your
student
heads.
walkouts happening in Virginia.
Complete as many
behind the,
objectives as you can, and we'll
the
get you
trans,
out.
like,
Good luck.
No, they're often the most political.
yeah, children are always the fucking civil
landing,
rights
team.
movement. The
Keep an eye on
fucking
the
pictures you see of motherfuckers
Try to
getting ate by
complete as many
dogs and having
objectives as
getting
you
blasted
can
by fire
before it
hoses and
kills
shit.
out.
Those were all
Have
elementary
fun.
and middle school and high school kids. Because
I think
parents had
that-
to go to work.
The amount of influence you can have as an individual is voting. The amount of influence you can have as a group is not related to voting at all.
No, it's
That's
if you ask
weird.
me, I would say it's in organized labor.
Yeah, exactly. Organization and protest and rioting. It's any of these kind of civil disobedience things are usually how liberal democracies advance themselves, how they change.
Oh, that's
Now people will say, oh, you don't actually have the power because of means of production, all this shit. That's true. But people forget that the means of production are in the hands of people who don't want the world to change. That
Right.
stasis and stagnation it takes a lot of power to keep something stagnant. That is not the natural state of the world. That's part of what I have an issue with, like in superhero stories, for example. A good story has to actually have the world change. But there are often stories, especially in sort of long-running series, like, for example, a TV show that always comes back to the same status quo. That's part of what makes these stories feel so deeply unrealistic. It's part of why I feel like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, anything that actually progresses feels inherently like a different kind of
He'll
media
learn how to handle the zone
than
with a shelf
Seinfeld,
guard.
than some kind of show. Like even in comedies and sitcoms, like The Office is very different from Seinfeld. The Office is very different from Modern Family. The Modern Family does change slightly because, of course, the kids have to age.
Right.
But like, or The Simpsons, Family Guy, these places, it's stagnation, and within stagnation, you find this feeling of surreal. It's surreal. Yeah, it's just not real. And we recognize this, I think, subconsciously within media, that things need to change, that things need to progress. We understand it within stories, but we don't understand it within the real world. The world is not a sitcom. Things don't come back to the new normal. I hate that term. Because the fact is, the new normal to me means that I'm constantly going outside and having risk of getting COVID.
Yep.
And myself, I'm immunocompromised as fuck.
Oh,
It's-
damn. Fuck.
Yeah, so like, and I have a single kidney. I have lung scarring from acute pneumonia from when I was younger, and I am diabetic, and all that shit means that basically, if I get COVID, it's a lot like if I'm 50 rather than being 22.
Right.
So that's not a fun one. And like, but people don't want to deal with that. They instead find a way to be to scapegoat something. They'll find a way to get out of that, to feel like things have to go back to normal, because normal is stability, and stability. I'm autistic. I don't like change, but I know that change is necessary. And it's weird that people think that they want change, and the reason they don't is because change is terrifying. Because change means violence. Change specifically means violence that is unstable. Stable violence and unstable violence is really just a matter of, is the state doing it or not? Is it something that we've normalized? Is it abuse of children? Because the child abuse is still normalized, especially in the medical community, and by many people in many cultures, that we just don't. People just don't, we just change the definition a bit every few years. Every decade, the definition of abuse changes a bit. The definition of labor and what labor rights ought to be changes a little bit. They change a little bit because of all the action being taken to fight the force of the force of the status quo, which both of these forces take massive amounts of effort. The conflict that you're fighting, the class conflict, you're always fighting it, but people don't acknowledge that. And within these places that view it as like a game, you don't have to acknowledge it when you're debating. That's something to acknowledge a fact of how the world functions, to have consensus is not unnatural. But now we argue like consensus is unnatural. The consensus among a group discussing something is unnatural. The fact that we agree on many things, I think most things, honestly, I'm actually surprised, because we live very different lives, I think. And yet we have very similar viewpoints and understandings, and I imagine that the kind of issues we would discuss, that if I was to debate you, for example, and we were to try and run it in a more, functional way, that we probably learn a lot about the issues that we actually care about, because we seem to care about similar issues. But if you debate someone that has a different conception of the universe, then how are you going to deal with that? Like, I was talking to this guy on the Twitter space. He was Christian guy, Universalist Christian. Basically, he was a former Mormon, he says, and he's currently trying to convert people. And I'm like, okay, I'll engage.
Eesh.
And it was, and I engaged with this guy, and it was interesting at first. I told him my view of the world, and he told me his, and we talked for a bit, and we had a similar thing. And it's interesting because I had this idea of I view truth as experience. So we have eyes, and if you are blind, then the idea of seeing is alien if you're born that way. That is. But you have to learn it. And you have to learn this concept that's completely alien to you, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a blind person being taught about sight when you're taught about someone's experiences that you are completely alien to. But that still is there, and it's still part of the world and part of material reality, material conditions, and so I view it like a tree. And at the roots of that tree is the subconscious, the things we don't know, the unknowable things, like what happens after you die. Fuck, I don't know it. What happens after the universe ends? Is water wet? These kinds of real, impossible questions. And then you have the roots of that tree, past the roots, you get to the trunk of the tree, what's visible above the ground. That's the objective reality. We all know we live on Earth. Some people might think the Earth is flat. Some people might think it's a fucking hexagon. I don't know. Some people think that it's a few thousand years old. Some people know it's a few billion. And we, in the definition of life, all these things, we still know we're alive. to whatever extent we want to philosophically discuss that, we still know that. And then there are branches, very, very early branches, who have very specific understandings of the world, about religion, about sexuality, about the things that you're born as. These, what you believe and what you are not that different.
These resources are
And
rare
so-
and not easy to obtain.
And at the end of that tree, you get to the leaves, and that's us. Or maybe even the aspects of
You
us.
extract
The
goodies
parts
for
of the leaf,
us,
that's us,
and we
maybe.
turn them into cool new pieces
And
of crystalline
We want to
gold.
cut off all these
You do your
branches. We're
job
always
well,
doing that.
and everyone wins.
In our conflicts,
Happy
our
hunting,
world
folks.
conflicts
I'll be in
especially,
touch.
we are trying to cut off all the branches that we can't align ourselves with.
I'll be here, Jinx.
And in doing so, we destroy part of that tree. And that's what I was saying to him. Because, I'm not religious, but I acknowledge that religion has had a massive impact on the world, and therefore, through understanding the Bible, I can understand the world.
Right.
That doesn't mean the Bible was made by God and that it affects it. It's just a matter of understanding that everything plays a part in reality because it's there.
Yep.
And so, he reacted to this. I know what he did. He told me about the story of Job. He decided that meant that I accepted Christianity. That I was to buy into. I am not his leaf. I'm not him. The idea of an individual is so alien to individualists. I am an individualist at my core, and I'm not even necessarily an anarchist. I don't know what I am really. That doesn't really matter to me. I don't need to know.
I was gonna
because
say labels are pretty unimportant when it comes to this shit, honestly.
Yeah, they're useful, but only as tools, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's in itself sometimes. It's all like you're playing Skyrim and you're sort of leveling up your smithing instead of actually playing the game. It's like, why are you doing that?
Right.
Wouldn't you rather have fun? Is the point of the game just to level up, or is it to actually have an experience? So, and that's not to say there's a right way to do so. It's just a matter of what is more.
You're trying to
what is-
accomplish a goal. What's
Yeah.
more effective and what's not effective.
And so when it comes to this discussion, I couldn't engage with him anymore. I literally told him I could not be Job.
Right.
But he didn't have that. He didn't understand that I could not be Job. That Job, this figure that experienced so much suffering and still hangs on to that idea of God, and never challenges or never blames or never understands fault and never tries to change something. That I could not be that person. And he told me that no, you are all Job. In doing so, cut off every branch except for the idea that everyone is Job. And I told him that's not. We are not on the same framework. You told me that you understood what I believe, but you do not.
Right.
And that kind of conversation kind of taught me a bit about an evangelical, that they will empathize with a position that he thought that I was a universalist, some kind of Christian that believed that the entire universe was based under God, and that no matter how you experienced it, that you were still following God's will.
Interesting.
Yeah, like you ever played the game The Outer Worlds?
No, I've seen it though. I was gonna say, just to my 2 cents on this topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
don't consider myself particularly religious now. If I am religious, I am an antinomian. I'm a deathbed Christian. You know what I mean? But I was raised Baptist. Like, I was heavily religious when I was right up until I turned like 14. Like extremely religious to the point where when I tried to get more into like spirituality and shit over the last couple of years, I was able to easily synthesize that because a lot of Christianity with black people comes from a lot of that shit anyway, just as a you know, syncretism and whatnot. But I usually just tell people I'm superstitious now. I don't describe myself as religious. But I don't it's like you're saying, like it's a way to, like, understanding it, even if you yourself are not particularly religious, is a way to better understand the world through the people who hold those beliefs, and will make you better able to reach those people.
Yeah.
And I would say that, like, I would have a problem with, like, religion and spirituality being used for that, like, for a political purpose, but, like, it would be myopic because, like, everything exists in the realm, especially spirituality like that, and especially for outside of the orthodoxy. You know what I mean? Fucking
Now,
white Catholicism.
the security system. Get to the main terminal and
whole
load the
thing.
virus.
Yeah, we tend to segregate our conceptions of things into philosophy and morality and politics when they're really one and the same.
Right.
These are just words that are used to divide concepts. That's how
Yeah,
categories
yeah.
categories
Right.
are useless.
Because that's what I was gonna say to Selassie is that like the problem is I think the problem is that religion is used for indoctrination, not necessarily that things are political. Because like I said, everything exists in the realm of the political. Jesus Christ was literally a fucking communist. He didn't describe himself as that, but
the word
his-
didn't fucking
his-
exist.
yeah, right,
Capitalism-
exactly, and that's what the realm of politics is to me, is the area of action and how you interact with your community. Where shit gets fucked up is where you have motherfuckers like Peter Popoff and fucking John Ossoff and these pieces of shit who just finesse people out their bread and convince them to hate their fellow man. Shit that is absolutely not what any of those things were founded in. Whether you're a Bible literalist or a fucking Flavian fucking, Caesar's Messiah type person.
Like, there's that idea of like bad faith in debates, and I've really been bothered by it because reading like Sartre and understanding the idea, I think at least partially of bad faith, really a lot of it comes down to alignment. Are your goals aligned with your intent, with your sort of internal reality? Are you acting a part or trying to exist? Or, for example, if you're playing the game on Twitch and you're trying to build community, but do you convince yourself that you're trying like if you're trying to make money, for example, do you convince yourself that you're having a noble goal? And when you lie, are you lying to yourself? Those kind of things are really what matters, I think,
Yep.
in the end, a lot more than the very particulars of what you believe. Are you able to walk the talk, basically? Like, and when it comes to that, I think I've been able to reach some kind of peace with myself through that. I am incredibly terrified of death, and I always was, but it changed a bit. So I am, again, my mother is a very much an atheist, a bit of the kind of like almost edgy type, yeah. The kind of person who will talk to someone who is Islamic and who is not even radically Islamic at all and act like they're a victim of their own devices and act like they're basically paternalist type bullshit. My mom's always been like that. Well, it's hard to, I had to deal with that and say no to that kind of viewpoint because, like, okay, so when it comes to, like, for example, going to hell and that kind of idea, I was told that I would go to hell. I was told that by my own grandmother, who was in fact very Christian, and I think in reacting to that, for example, like, I am okay with the fact that I know everyone dies, and even in terror of death, I have to look at the alternative of what if eternity exists. What if that's an option? Reincarnation is basically the same thing as death because you lose memory. But when it comes to eternity, have you ever heard of the band Built to Spill?
I have.
Have you ever heard of the song Randy Described Eternity?
I have not. I have heard of that band.
So, it's a song from 1997 album Perfect From Now On, and in fact, that's the lyric Perfect From Now On is actually from this. And if you want to play the song, or if you want me to list the lyrics, I can either works. It describes, as it says, it describes eternity. Specifically, the singer/lyricist Doug Marsh of this band was told by the leader of his Christian youth group in his childhood about this kind of concept of eternity. And yeah, if you have like a music app or anything, or I could do a song request on your Twitch.
I stopped doing like playing, like the only music I play on Twitch is shit that's on like indie labels and shit just because I'm not trying to get my pods new.
That's fair. So I'll just say the lyrics that are relevant, okay?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. Every 1,000 years, this metal sphere, 10 times the size of Jupiter, floats just a few yards past the Earth. You climb on your roof, you take a swipe at it with a single feather. Hit it once every 1,000 years, until you've worn it down to the size of a pea. Yeah, I'd say that's a long time, but it's only half a blink in the place you're gonna be. And then there's the second half of the song, which is relevant still. Where are you gonna be? Where will you spend eternity? I'm gonna be perfect from now on. I'm gonna be perfect starting now. Stop making that sound. Stop making that sound. I will say I forgot it, but it was only yesterday. And it's all you had to say. And that's very much, very good deconstruction of Christianity, but also the idea of how this Christian youth guy, again, Randy, who was talking to this singer in his childhood, and somehow this guy remembers this for like 20 years. He describes what just a pinch of eternity sounds like, and in fact, a fan estimated that it would take 1.125 times 10 to the power of 37 years. And so, let's just, that's basically 1.125 and then 37 zeros. Or maybe 38 zeros. That's how many years that event takes, and that's just a pinch in what eternity really is. Now, the world's existed for, I believe it's supposedly, I believe it's like 13 billion years, or probably longer because the actual visible universe is smaller than the actual universe, but basically, it's in the realm of billions. And, at best, trillions. This is, I don't even know, I think it's, I don't remember the word for 10 to the 37, so, looking at that, I say to myself, like, I am not okay with that. I don't like eternity. I find that honestly worse than just, whether I'm in hell or heaven, is there really a difference after that much time?
Right.
It's terrifying either way. Reality is terrifying. We are so afraid of death that we don't acknowledge that eternity is just as scary. That if I'm burning in hell, I'll get used to that after a few million years.
You have, yeah, because you have no other frame of reference, because you won't remember what your life was like before.
Well, if you do, even if you do remember, there are people who say that you do remember in hell or heaven. Like, it's just, it is so incomprehensible that it stops. It becomes torture in heaven too, and so in accepting that there is no good ending to life, that there's you ever heard of the show The Good Place?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Have you watched the final episodes of it?
No, I've seen a couple of episodes of it, but I'm really bad at paying attention to things and watching things, so I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes. But I thought that show was good. I fuck with Ted Danson.
Yeah. Anyone in chat, minor spoilers for the final season. I call it minor because I'm not actually going to mention how it affects the characters, but do you know what makes, like, this show describes it. They have characters that have existed in the Good Place for thousands of years. I believe Hypatia of Alexandria, this very well-known, very, very, very old person, mathematician type, philosopher type, she goes crazy. Not crazy in the traditional sense, but basically just drinks herself into a stupor in this place where you can get anything you want.
Right.
And stops being completely human. It happens to most people there, and you can snap out of it because they're stuck there forever. It's a prison. Everything is a prison we have to understand that we are all prisoners within our lives, and that there are ways out of that, but they only come through connection.
Right.
You have to make tools of what you are within, and the change of that is the decision that was made is in fixing that good place, people have to decide that they created this gateway. And what it does is you go to this nice little park, and there's this door. It's just like an arch, and you can walk through it and you stop being. It's literally suicide. And you go through it and you return to the universe. And there's no knowing what happens next. It's referred to by one character very, very poetically as a wave returning to the ocean. That it stops being a wave, it just becomes water. Mm-hmm. And that's actually part of the Buddhist framework of things. But that is the only way to make it actually heaven. To make it actually a good place. This perfection of everything, no conflict, and that's the only way. Death is the only way for life to have meaning. For life to be not torture. And so, there is no undoing that problem of death, that paradox of death. And like, I had to acknowledge that from a very young age, and that's my philosophy.
This thing can
First
be
question I
beaten.
ask to someone who says, "Do you believe in God?" is they say,
Inspire
"Which
all
one?" And then I say, "Which hell?"
unidentified to join
Because
our
I'll go to
cause.
all of them. It makes no difference to me in the end. I will live the life that I know exists, and I will
Right.
live it to the best of my abilities. And to do otherwise, I think is cowardly. Not to
Yeah.
say that I'm calling them cowards, but to say that why
You're
would
literally
we?
living in fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why would I live in fear? I know that I'm in danger all the time. I know that if the world goes to shit and climate gets fucked up, that I will not have insulin and I will die. So why would I not be willing to protest and fight for those rights? Now it's hard for me to go out protesting. I haven't really done it much because, well, disabilities and all that, and being able to go about and all that shit, and the fact that I don't
What we
drive.
doing,
But
y'all?
when I
We
am
got
able
going
to,
on.
I
What's going
I don't
on?
see a reason why someone would limit themselves intentionally to feel it to lose that control, that acknowledgement. It's we try and change that world that we live in our heads rather than in reality, rather than with our hands. And that's why I often think about like giving up the internet and just going nope. But I don't do that because being disabled and not really having that sort of external social life, this is part of where I am. So it's not perfect. It's not great. But it can change because that's the law of life. It's
Right.
change. And so it's hard really to deal with that sometimes. So like being able to acknowledge that's become my favorite song, even though it deals with existential dread. Like I am deeply terrified of any alternative, of whatever happens after death. I don't care what it is, it's still terrifying, but I'd rather live with that and acknowledge that than run away from that, as people sometimes do. And anyone that doesn't know or isn't really sure, that's the best way to do it. And I see people who are dying, and that's how they deal with it. I had a friend who, his name was Landon, and he was basically one of the few people in the world that was not neurodivergent, that wasn't disabled. He was just a kid who was raised into a cult, I believe it was Jehovah's Witnesses, and that got out of it. Or no, I think it was actually a Mormon, sorry. And his father was specifically, and his mother got him out of there. And he had leukemia several times. When I first met him, he had gotten out of it. He was in remission. Sorry, are you still there?
I'm here. Yeah. Oh shit. My bad. I muted my mic a minute ago and forgot to unmute.
I was
Sorry.
just wondering if you were there. It's all good. I was worried there was an
I
audience.
was listening. Yeah, sorry.
And he was one of the people in the world that really treated me with complete kindness, even when he didn't fully understand any positions that I dealt with. Although he did understand diabetes, that's for sure, considering cancer is quite similar in that you're dealing with this until you die. It comes back constantly. It's going to haunt you. And when he got out of it, he was so happy, and he was like, I don't know, it's just, he didn't have that fear, even though he was a year younger than me. And I remember the sort of, I wasn't a great friend to him. I, in fact, checked his pockets for Legos one day when he left because I didn't trust people because of bad experience I'd had with others, and he was just okay. He just accepted that, and then his cancer came back, and leukemia is a pretty bad one, and he died. He died in the hospital. I met him before then, and I was an asshole to some extent, and I asked, well, why are you gonna have his presents? And he was like, well, do you want one? And I of course said no, because that was polite thing to say and obvious. But he was willing to give me one of his fucking presents he got because he was sick, and yeah, he died, and he wasn't afraid. He'd actually talked a lot about it, and he was at a point an atheist, and it affected me a lot because I recognized that I didn't have that strength, and I didn't know where to find it. And it's taken me a long time to really be able to, like, there's like if I can actually, there's I wrote like a short one about it. It was called For Landed, and this is, and just for anyone who wants to know sort of like the kind of effect this had on me, this is what I wrote. I wanted to say it at his funeral, do it at his funeral, but I wasn't able to because I wasn't able to attend because I was sick at the time, and it really hurt me that I wasn't able to. But these are the words to it. He lived only 11 years. He suppressed his fear, yet his kindness was clear. There was little for anyone to do. The cure was a poison, and it hurt him too. Why did he never stop being kind? Why did he not leave decency behind? Why was he so decent, and why do all the decent ones die?
Destroy the element!
Yeah, and dealing with that kind of grief is, it's weird because it allows you to experience some of that secondhand and to know that I'm going to die. I'm going to die early, most likely, and that I have to face that and deal with that kind of fear. And it in fact liberated me quite a bit, allowing me to start caring about others and stuff, and to realize that is the way to be out of that prison. And yet we're constantly fucking fighting for bullshit that doesn't, like, no one wants to debate about Puerto Rico and to debate about how that statehood should take place, or to listen to the people who are actually dying.
Right.
We just want to lament in our own suffering, and lamentations are not helpful.
Right. I actually, today is actually the anniversary, or rather, I had a friend, my best friend, I was, in high school.
Yeah.
He drowned when I was 16. Today would be his, 33rd.
That's
But,
one of our supply bins. Wonder how it even
that was
got
also
here.
one of those, like, life-changing experiences for me. That was when it was really solidified for me. Like, that was when my edgy atheist shit was in, like, full swing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that my mom and my stepfather, who also passed away a couple years ago, like the year after my house burned down, he and my mom, they're morticians. So, like, I've been in the embalming room casually surrounded by death since I was 12 years old. And one of the things I quickly understood about religion, and one of the things I still understand, that the chaos of the world, like, there's no way to reconcile it. Like, the fact that all the bad shit that's ever happened to you for literally no fucking reason, no rhyme or reason, is, it does something to you mentally. I don't know, and I feel like religion, in terms of like death cult religions, and I don't mean that, when I say that, I don't mean like people who worship death or whatever. Well, I guess I kind of mean that. I don't know. Religions that have a focus on afterlife like that, or on a higher power or whatever, I guess are a way to cope with the idea that the worst shit imaginable will happen to you, and it will happen for no reason other than it can. You know what I mean?
I think we're always in a death cult. Capitalism is a death cult, and I don't mean that in
yeah, for sure.
sense, not just in the sense of oh yay recession, people are dying, therefore the rich get richer. Like, there are fucking articles about that actually are happy about this kind of shit. Like,
Right.
but what I mean really is the idea of you're aging. You're going to age, you're going to get older, you're going to be the person that you once called old, the person you once called sick. And that's that they are just you in advance. There's a Latin term, I don't remember the exact saying, so I'll just say it in English. I'm sorry. What I am, you will be. Sorry, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Who am I? Well,
I forget.
that also don't tell me who am I, but it's basically a dead person. Is you will be dead, and they were alive, and you were alive and they were dead. That comes along in sort of Latin culture, like Memento Mori, for example. And that kind of idea, it doesn't just need to be like, it doesn't need to be gothic. It's not necessarily gothic. It can be based on empathy and the idea of like I talked on another Twitter space about to this person who was like, she was like a 45-year-old white woman. I didn't exactly expect her in Communist Coffee Club. That was what the space was called. Or not at the time, I don't think so, but it's what usually it was called. And most people in there were Marxists of some form. And she came in there and we talked about grief. We talked about knowing about the impermanence of relationships. These kind of things they're not theory. You're not going to learn more about historical materialism through that. But yet, after that, she then told us like, so like, what is it that leads you to you communists, like, she actually was open and talking to people because we had talked about something so much deeper, so much more personal, that it was clear that it didn't need to be a fucking fight because it never needed to be a fight.
Right.
None of it needed to be that way. And it's so frustrating that like, honestly, if you're going to talk to someone about communism, talk to them about death first.
Yeah.
Damn, this one really gives me chills.
It's weird.
What you're looking at is a
I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but like that's the same thing goes for de-radicalization. If you want to de-radicalize someone, know them.
Exactly.
That's the only way. I don't think anyone can de-radicalize someone they don't know, and that's why it frustrates me sometimes, not just to see debates, but also to see people in chat saying, oh, I'm going to fix this new person in chat. No, you're not.
You really are not.
What you do for them will be undone in a day by their own parent. No matter how much effort you put into it, I would much rather people actually try to acknowledge the suffering of victims and try and change these people from victims to survivors so that they can fight back. But that's not really what goes on. Instead, it's just, let's watch the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary that Netflix put in the LGBTQ section. Let's worship this type of shit.
That was such a wild move.
It really was. Netflix these companies are so big that they really just they're just appealing to the lowest common fucking denominator, and that happens to be the unlucky fucking hatred little people. Like, did you know that J.K. Rowling has 3 tweets containing the word abortion in them?
Only 3.
She has 15,000 tweets. And 3 contain the word abortion. Now, I don't know exactly. I can actually check how many contain the word trans. So, feminist says that you can't be a feminist if you support trans people, she says. So, JK. Again, it's even on Twitter. People should do this more often. If you want to actually judge someone, don't go judging them based on whether or not they're being called a clout chaser at the moment. Judge them based on what they actually say, and don't go about it like I don't know. You can expose someone, but it has to actually be to an audience that actually cares or that is listening to you. We instead have it be like a combat performance. It can be fun. I don't mind people doing that at all. It's just a matter of know what you're doing. But people will say that they're one thing and not be that thing. That's the most frustrating thing to me. Because if I go to, again, trans, let's see how many tweets are there here containing trans. Okay, I can't count them actually because there are, let's just go through. I cannot, yeah, there are over 100, there are thousands. And now abortion. 1, 2, 3. Yep, it's still 3. And
Joe Lewis has actually talked about that, the fact that nobody actually gives a fuck about abortion. Everybody who leaned on that was bullshitting. They were capitalizing on a moment.
yeah. I think people do care about it, but mainly because they're affected. Again, you care about no matter where she is in the world, does not care about abortion rights. She cares about an agenda of the deciding who gets to be what gender. It's not.
Right.
Yet she becomes this sort of champion of things that we let other people be our champions and our heroes, and that's kind of just it doesn't work out in the end. She hasn't actually improved any women's lives in the entire world. Overall, it hurts everyone, the kind of treatment. Like, I don't know, maybe the only thing that I think really transphobia has done for women is it has made people care a bit more about women's sports.
Right.
A little bit more, but then the moment that stops, that becomes a battle that has been won, they stop caring.
Exactly.
And it's like, maybe that's something, but like, aside from that, there's the whole thing of, even within these sports, there are children as young as fucking 12 who are being forced to show their genitals to teachers because it's now standardized testing to make sure that they are representing their gender properly. Like, that is the actual stuff that it's literally calling the kettle black. If there is a single creepy trans person, sure, but that pales in comparison to standardized testing and complete violation of privacy that the parents do not consent to. And it doesn't even matter if they consent. The children obviously can't. So it's very hard to really engage with any of that at all if you want to actually have principles.
Oh man. Sorry. I have no idea what's going on. My fucking
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's been hurt yesterday. I quit my job, so I haven't had insurance for 5 days, so that's fun. I don't know. Ugh, I fucking hate so much. Why did they?
Yeah.
Why did my parents decide to fuck and not abort my stupid ass?
Or why didn't they move to Canada?
Right. My dad's
No.
been to Canada mad times. Him and the homies, because their parents are from Ohio. They couldn't went to Canada.
What you could do is apply for refugee status to us.
Yeah.
God.
Humanity
It is a
gift,
mess, a lot of
and
things,
I
and
want mine back.
I think a lot of us just hide it under the rug. I want my messes in the open. It's only possible to clean them up if they're in the open.
Two, I fight as one. Making bacon say woo-hoo while drinking a glass of stew.
This voice acting
Red peel
is
or blue
insanely terrible.
Pick wisely,
Like,
mate.
impressively bad.
That's fun.
Patience is a virtue.
Should have stayed home if you wanted easy.
Ever eager, always vigilant.
I'm gonna start maining her.
We're good today. This better be a challenge.
Ugh. These people think I'm gonna unmute them. They're out of their fucking minds. But it's all good. This shit is smoothed over.
Also, I'm back, by the way.
Right on.
It's kind of funny. I don't really often have conversations where I realize that I've actually said everything I really had to say or wanted to say.
I feel it.
Yeah. You have any questions for me?
Nah, I mean, I just been kind of letting you go. This is like, I feel like this is the longest we've talked on here. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we do have obviously a lot in common when it comes to these kind of discussion type stuff. Like, I don't know, like if you ever end up doing panels or type shit, or if you ever try and organize it, I think what's his name? I forget. I think Corey is going to be trying to actually make debates work, and I'm going to be happy to participate in that funny experiment.
Yeah, I'm in for that too. Yo, what up, Fluff? Alpha
Yeah.
Fluff. Did I must have forgot to actually follow you. Oh shit. Why did I hold on? I didn't realize Queen Alexa was in here.
Queen Alexa?
About to run some COD. I appreciate you, my guy. Go ahead and actually follow you now. Fuck, why did it...
Team, we need you to conduct field research in the Pharaoh's impact. We're doing this as a favor to CPL, Dr. Sullivan's company, which has been providing us with crystalline-based weaponry.
One of the missing supply
I can't
jobs should
say
be
I
nearby.
completely agree
Scour
with
the
their
area,
methods,
team.
but our cooperation...
Yeah, I hope day's going great for you too, Alpha Fluff. You shout out Alpha Fluff. These motherfuckers are probably mad as shit at me. I've been standing still on this bitch for...
CPL has been
We're
mutually
tracking a missing
beneficial thus
supply
far,
bin nearby.
and it's
You
in our
might wanna
best
sniff
interest to
around.
keep it that way. Just be careful. Don't get over your heads. Complete as many objectives as you can and we'll get you out. Good luck.
Meet my sidekick.
Oh man.
Look who needs to be
What
saved.
a... It's been
Again.
wild fucking year. Really a truly
Yeah.
wild year. Full of
I don't know, I feel like
twists and fucking turns.
Lucky me.
people just keep on. I think we're just like people are just collectively accepting the weirdness now, and it's just that just leads to it getting stranger and stranger. Where like
Yeah.
like we've stopped sweeping the destruction under the rug.
Right.
I think it's like a collective thing that we've done, and I'm kind of not like I don't think it's a bad thing. I think
Oh no.
we're actually acknowledging it now. It's like shit hasn't been good ever, and now maybe people are depressed about it, but that means they're more likely to act.
Right.
And honestly, I think it's just if you lived through something, then you treat it as normal after you've lived through it for a few years. Things change suddenly, and then it's like there's no technological singularity going on. It's not some massive shift. It's simply the way the world is. Like that's kind of how I dealt with like sort of the absurdist view of things. That's what I try to use to be sort of okay with it. It's not going to it's not like things aren't going to be normal just because we expect them to, and they never really have been. Nothing has, like, I don't know, it's this weird idea of just expecting things to go back to a normal that doesn't exist. I think we have.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, this isn't good. Yeah, I don't know. I got pretty bummed in the beginning of the year in 2020, or towards the middle of the year in 2020, because my like timetable was too quick. I tried to organize with my roommate at the time. I tried to organize a rent strike with the other tenants under our landlord or our rental company or whatever. Didn't work. I didn't see really that type of shit coming into play and being effective for a while, but I was just too early with my timetable. I should have known that there would be Christian Smalls out there, railroad workers would be on point. my boy Billy Jarbo, who helped organize the Apple Store Union, the only Apple Store in Baltimore. The Starbucks is here, is unionized now. I feel like that shift, that cultural shift is, that pendulum is swinging back because people got, like, COVID was acceleration to shit in that regard, and that people got to see just how hard and raw and dry they've been getting fucked by capitalism for the last 20 or so years. And that's why we see all these these things that we've known about and didn't need to label, but now we got quiet quitting and the Great Resignation and all this shit. And I saw a tweet on Twitter that was like a genuine ask. It was like, you know, feel free to disregard this tweet, but like, what actually happens when the majority of people can no longer afford the cost of living in the area? Black Triangle Kush, hell yeah.
Alright, hack the control panel to produce a new orb.
A minute of glory.
Yep, there it is. Now shoot that ball all the way to the reactor.
What the fuck are you doing? Shoot the ball to the reactor. Oh my god. Quiet quitting is just doing your work, the bare minimum only, was actually nothing more, nothing less. That's that one. That one dude was like, the fuck is quiet quitting? I've done so little at some of my jobs, it was technically stealing.
According to them, but then again, wage theft takes up more money in total than like all other forms of theft.
Oh
combined.
yeah, wage theft, the wage theft and civil asset forfeiture. So the two people most likely to rob you are your boss and the police. That's always how it has been, and that's how capitalism works. Motherfuckers are like, that's what's so weird. People who are anti-union, they're like, I don't want some union taking money out my paycheck. And I'm like, my friend.
That's literally how work works.
Yeah, like your boss takes money out your paycheck every fucking week, and you don't even notice.
People like it's this weird idea that money comes out of nowhere. Like we already say money isn't printed on trees, and yet we don't acknowledge that also applies not only to like inflation but also to labor.
Right. That's what makes the taxation of stuff people so fucking goofy, is like, you're mad that money's getting taken out your check to, you know, fund a library, but you have no problem when all that money goes to your boss so he can buy a new fucking Ford F-150 or something. It's the stupidest shit in the world.
It's sort of this idea that you can agree to things based without that. Like you cannot agree to a power structure that you're born into. That's not an agreement. Maybe someone likes that, but that doesn't mean that everyone else does.
Right.
It's consent, especially when you're forced to do it to survive.
Facts. I have no idea what the fuck my teammates are doing. I wish they would do what we need to do to actually finish this mission. Yo, can we do the objective? Like, y'all let me get clapped while I was trying to summon a fucking orb, and I don't see anybody doing this shit now. So, what we doing, fellas? Oh, I guess we're just about to lose. Alright, good game, though. Hope you learn how to play the fucking game with the next people you play with.
God damn. I guess he got orbed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
I did. I got morbed and orbed. Oh, shit.
He orbed all over your face. I gotta start trying to have more fun on Twitter. Like, recently I did that whole AI-generated images thing. Like,
yeah, the one you sent me for the Endless Cemetery, that shit was kind of tough. I might actually use that for something.
Yeah, like, literally, you don't need to buy it. Literally, just ask me for literally any kind of image you want. Like, it literally takes pennies to do per image, so I'm fine. Yeah. mutual aid by helping people with AI generated art. It's actually like decent shit sometimes. Like you just need to write in some extra words like detailed and stuff. Like
Yeah.
if you want to get it, it's like called novel AI, and it's specifically like the image generation type of stuff. Like I've been into that stuff since like 2019 now, honestly.
Right on.
I think
Sure.
even maybe before then. Like AI Dungeon was a thing a while ago. Sometimes I try and write a tweet using like my own tweet history and sort of like being able to generate it based on other things that I've said, and it'll be garbage every 9 times out of 10, but then the 10th it'll be something that makes sense. And it's like, I'm gonna tweet something that was actually written by a bot. We already do that. We already have bots that do tweets. Why is it wrong to do that when you're actually a regular account?
You pick me up, bro. Like, please, so I can, oh, pick me up.
Sorry, what?
Oh, my fucking teammates.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for picking me up.
See, I can do this too.
Wait, what game are you playing?
This game's called Shatterline.
Yeah. So I thought Dead by Daylight. Like that's what I think of when I think having people pick you up. Like sort of like.
Oh
you know,
yeah. I'm trying to get back into playing that game slowly but surely. That community is very robust.
Check the surroundings
Yeah,
if you feel like
I don't really play PC games, so it's kind of hard for me to actually.
Yeah, I've been playing. I was originally a console gamer. Like my first video games were on Super Nintendo, but I've been a PC gamer since 1998.
You a fan of sort of like you ever heard of Town of Salem?
Holy shit! Yes, fucking. We used to have a fucking blast, like die laughing playing Town of Salem. I talked to the like Fade Runner knows. We joke about starting playing Town of Salem again all the time. So if you start playing that again, let me know. Cause we stopped playing Town of Salem when Among Us started popping off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that actually would be something to do. Like if you ever want, like not even on like a streamer, if you want to stream it, but like it becomes a problem if you have multiple people streaming, because then you can really cheat.
Snipe, yeah.
Oh, that's what stream sniping is, isn't it?
Yep, you watch someone stream so you can, like, in first-person shooters, it's like screen looking, so you could like see where they're at, so you can fuck them up.
Honestly, I always thought stream sniping meant like you were doing it like it's sort of like photobombing is what I thought it used to. That's what I used to think it meant.
Oh no, I mean it sounds like it, but nah. Stream sniping is literally when you're in a game with a streamer, so you watch their stream to cheat to see where they are, what they're doing. And shit.
That's fun. Yeah, I could actually do that. Like, I might go on Twitter and find anyone that wants to play Town of Salem, and I could actually set up like a custom game.
That'd be sweet. Cause it's still free, isn't it?
I don't know entirely. I have a lot of the DLC for it, including
word.
some streams. It's not that expensive, really. Like I have.
Yeah, it's like $5. I remember. I think to get the paid base game was like $5. And
Yeah.
Among Us is only like $5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the servers are the same on mobile and on PC. I play on both. I haven't played in a bit though, so I'm gonna actually try playing for a few days, and I might even like. I'm actually planning recently. Like I've been setting up my own Discord server. It's gonna have bots for like an economy type thing and everything. And
Sorry.
like you saw like that thing on that group chat thing on Twitter. I think you're part of it.
Yeah, the group chat. Yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah. And I recently added that new image. The actual like I literally just used AI generation to make a group of chads. Did you see that thing?
I didn't. I haven't looked in a little minute because I started going live and
No problem.
it's fuckers right.
I'm just gonna put this on memes. Let's do it.
Right on, right
Where-
on.
But yeah, I made an actual Discord server, sort of gonna be like getting people from Twitch and like people I know to join. It's called the Union of Luther Blissett. You ever heard of Luther Blissett?
No.
Basically, it's this sort of artsy concept, sort of like situational type stuff. Basically, it's the idea of like you cannot quantify how much has been stolen from you collectively, or as an individual, but you can do it collectively. That if you take the means of protection back, in any sort of sense, that through doing so you have inherently paid back the debts, even if it's not literal, but in a metaphorical sense, paid back the debts of what is owed to you as a collective. Like, it's like a pseudonym that is used by a lot of activists, and especially in the 90s. And I'm sort of,
What was the name
like,
again?
Luther Blissett. The actual person in football is a football guy, professional footballer and manager, but the pseudonym is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And yeah, it was used by it's basically considered an open pop star is the idea. It's comes from the idea of neoism, which basically means that you can collectively share pseudonyms and identities and use them for pranks, for plagiarism, fake type stuff. It's like if imagine if Banksy was a bunch of people.
Okay, I understand that. Or like, I used to be. I'll say that I know that in like the hacker shit, like in the hacker community, motherfuckers who do stuff. Like, I mean, identity theft is a there. There's definitely been aliases used by more than one person.
Yeah, so I'm calling like the server the Union of Luther Blissett, or also ULB, because like I'm not actually going to be doing fucking pranks or anything, but literally just as the idea of a union of people that are one is the idea. So
Robert
yeah, I'm
Paulson's
making a bunch.
beat.
Yeah. Yeah, and since I'm decent at administration and stuff, I'm gonna try and actually make that and make it into a thing. And if you ever, I might even try and use it to post things like the I never really got into Among Us, so I'm gonna try and see if I can get Town of Salem to be a thing that we do on this. Actually, I don't think Town of Salem allows voice chat, does it?
I don't
Like-
believe so. We used to cheat in voice chat in like our Facebook group chat.
Well, actually, no. I think if you're in a custom game, you're allowed to be in one voice chat. Like, I haven't read the entirety of it, but I might look it up just because, you know, don't want to get banned. But I'm pretty sure that it's not cheating if you're literally all in one group and using voice chat as well as the text chat in game.
Okay.
I think turning it off at night is definitely a good idea, though. But like, actually talking to people, I'm not sure. The issue is that people will use it if they're on the same team and stuff.
Right.
Tracking data leak.
But if everyone's in the same one, then it's not really that. It doesn't really work like that then.
Hostile flashbang.
I'll look it up. Probably in a custom game it would be allowed at least. If like everyone's in the same game, of course. And there aren't anyone like, you know, like there aren't any randoms.
Locating the next leak.
Shout out Big Richie. I got the pumpy. I'm playing in Big Richie mode right now.
You gave me no choice.
Team, uploading
I have no idea what that means.
I got the pumpy. I got a pump shot.
Ah, damn. Nice.
My time to shine.
We got this junk. On to the next one.
Big Richie said, "Hey, I see you." Oh shit.
Upload in progress. Return to the hard drive. We got the files. Locating the next leak.
About to die. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out more community stuff to do, especially now that my Discord is like a little bit more poppin'. Like I want to do like movie nights and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm planning for like my sort of like Discord server to be like a smaller thing. Like I don't really want it to get past 100 members, but I'm happy to like advertise your type thing.
Yeah, because that's my vibe too. Like it would be cool if I bigged up and like was able to stream like and like live off of streaming basically. But I really enjoy like actually being able to interact on a one-to-one with members of chat and not have my chat going a million fucking vibes a minute.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to like how like actually getting people engaged requires work on the part of the streamer often. So it's
Yeah.
so I feel like that's something that you're already good at. So yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks. I appreciate you too. Probably gonna head out though because I'm kind of.
I feel it. Yeah, you've been going for a minute. I just been letting you go just because it's all interesting to me. But you got to take a break for a minute. I understand.
Yeah. And it's real big in chatting to you. definitely be back.
Hell
I'm actually
yeah.
gonna try back in because actually, like, I didn't expect that you'd be the kind of person you play that. I kind of was thinking like I really wanted to hang with you, but I was thinking like you're probably the guy who plays like Dead by Daylight, Hunt Showdown, only those kind of games.
I play almost everything. It's just my favorite game. Hunt Showdown's probably my favorite game right now, other than Mortal Kombat 11. And I like to unwind by playing Dead by Daylight sometimes, just because it's really brainless and it's one of those games. I like to play games, like a lot of the games I play on here are like this, where like I can actually hold conversations, interact with chat and shit, and not have to be sweaty, and actually be decent at the game and still engage with chat. There's times when I'm playing Hunt Showdown, especially because sound is so important, where I'm like dead ass quiet. And then in MK11, where I'm facing other high level people and I gotta sweat, it makes me not look at chat. So I like playing shit like Town of Salem and Among Us and this game and Dead by Daylight and those type games, just because it lets me be a better streamer without sacrificing me actually having fun and enjoying games.
You get suicidal thoughts often?
Yeah, I feel you on that. And honestly, I think I just ran out of steam because like I don't know, all the sort of like pleasantries take up like half of a conversation sometimes, and we kind of don't have that. I think in this.
Yeah,
If you
because we
can't
know
really
each
go-
other already, and we have pretty much the same takes on everything, so we were just kind of going.
Yeah. So like, if we ever end up debating something, that'll be really interesting because like, I don't know, you don't. Again, that comes down to the idea of like people are so afraid of consensus that
Right.
that you create artificial conflicts. If you're not actually doing that, then it's sort of like, well, apart from I don't know. I feel like on Twitch and shit, you're not used to collaboration. You're not used to actually agreeing with someone.
Right.
I've had people-
There's a bunch of people, like, I've done a few panels and stuff that have been really cool, like, shout out to Catarana, all the Black History Month panels we did were fucking amazing, and pretty much, like, jump-started my streaming career, but, yeah, I feel like at least there's, like, a specific mindset on here that contributes to a lot of bullshit. It's that main character syndrome, that fucking like cult of personality shit where people don't want to collab. Like, I love collabing. I feel like my best streams are streams like this, where other like on specific topics, way smarter or more knowledgeable people than me come in to just like rap, and I'll listen to ad-lib and throw my 2 cents in here and there where I feel it's appropriate. But other people legit just want to run the show. You know what I mean? They want to be the smartest, the most correct, the most base, whatever. And it's weird. It's a gross way to look at this shit, because the whole point of this shit is supposed to be about building community anyway. And it's just it's weird to establish that type of hierarchy from the get.
Well, the only good chat is a group chat, so
Right.
I'm actually gonna start using that as a slogan. It kind of does work. It's like literally, if you're approaching things as though you're the only individual that matters, then why not actually just apply that to a group and like make a clique? Now it's not good. It's not actually. That's not like good. It's still way better. That like
Right.
I don't know. People can. Now it can get into really culty shit sometimes. But if you don't actually
Oh,
have a
yeah.
leader, if you're actually acting as a cohesive group, now when you have like some kind of figurehead of your group, that's not really a group anymore. It just becomes a sort of hierarchy. Hierarchies are not groups. Not as I see it at least. They're organizations.
Yeah.
There's no organization chat. There's only group chats. And I know it's a very, very, I don't know, basic way of putting it, but
I get
I'm not
what you're
afraid
saying
of
now. I get what you mean, yeah.
yeah. I'll see you on the Bird app, and I'll probably be back sometime. It's good
Oh
talking to you.
yeah, thanks for coming through, Zeron. You're welcome anytime.
I appreciate that.
That was Zeron Elite, folks.
Supply bin could have some sweet shit.
The individual, the myth, the legend of Twitter fame. Yeah, come through, Mr. Mumbles. Hang on, let me get to a spot where I can look at Discord. Yeah, pop in waiting and I'll drag you in.
Enemy wounded in the arm.
They've been going crazy in this. I don't know if y'all can hear that on my fucking phone. Yo, what up, Mumbles?
Hey. I'm
Hold on, I might have to turn you up. This is a little low.
I'll see if
You're in the way.
Gee,
Releasing the drone.
gotta finish this encounter. Okay. Alright, let me turn you up.
and then just pull up my TV.
Alright, alright, there you go. I had to turn your volume up.
Alright. Yeah, I'm just
Stop that
I'm just
There's a
hanging out.
taser nearby.
You guys were getting all serious and stuff, and I was just listening. I figured, like, if I came on, we'd talk about, like, I don't know, I was getting pretty hyped about movies in chat. I love it.
Yeah. I want to do, because I'm, like, my first band was, like, the band Mortician, where we just wrote everything about, like, horror movies.
I have dealt with the chaser.
So I am, like, a fucking encyclopedia of, like, 70s, 80s, 90s, European, American horror.
A movie that just popped into my head. It's first of all, I wouldn't classify it as horror. It's more dark cinema, like, you know, real dark, depressing kind of shit there. It's dark cinema. It's about a black metal band. I gotta look up the name of the movie.
Is it Until the Light Takes Us?
No.
You're in the way.
It's called Lords of Chaos.
Lords of Chaos, word. Yeah. Okay.
That movie.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've been sleeping on it just because I, like, am familiar with that genre of music, so I know the story that it's based on.
Wait a sec.
The fucking movie is like like I still think of Lords of Chaos. I saw this movie years ago, and it stars one of the Culkin brothers, not Macaulay Culkin.
It was Cameron, yeah.
No, Lauren.
Lauren
It stars
Culkin.
Yeah.
Big Richie said that movie was so tonally uneven. I feel like Big Richie. I feel like we're biased because we actually listen to that music to a certain extent.
I'm a big movie fan, and as a movie, I love it.
I feel like for us, it's like when you watch a fucking Marvel movie and it's not perfectly to whatever your favorite run or arc is, so you're like, you shit on it. I feel like there might be a little here. Like, I'll tell you point blank, I slept on that movie because, like I said, I'm like familiar with that music scene and have like I'm not super well read into all that lore, but because that genre of music is what it is and all that shit, those aspects of that shit tend to be more infamous and well known. So like the church burnings, the fucking
Oh,
you know, Varg Vikernes murdering Euronymous, all that stuff.
Church burn. Yeah, I'm remembering the movie now. Shit, yeah, that was crazy, dude.
Yeah,
why did that band member do what he did at the end again? I forgot.
which one?
Well, you know, he did the thing with
The knife?
What happened? Yeah.
So there's a lot of different stories behind that, but the thing that is kind of the general consensus now is that Varg was signed to Euronymous' label, and there was like a money issue. And so
He felt like he was coming after him or something.
yeah, Varg made up a bunch of shit about, and he might not have made it up, who knows, because he tried to claim self-defense and claim that Euronymous was going around telling people he was plotting to kill him.
Yeah, I remember that in the movie.
Which is weird, because, like, as much of a badass motherfucker I consider myself, if I find out somebody's trying to kill me, I'm not going to their house.
Yeah, right?
Especially not driving, like, 2.5 hours to go.
Like, call the cops and drive away.
Nah, I don't call the cops, but if you catch me, it is what it is. But, and, you know, in that case, sure, whatever. But, yeah, so there was a money thing where I guess...
Listen, the reason I would call the cops is just so that shit's on record.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
You end up dead. People know who to look for.
I am a little confident. I'm a little cocky. I don't think I'm gonna be the one that ends up dead because of that shit, and that's why I don't want any record of it.
My house all day, so if somebody wants to kill me,
There's mad people who want to kill me. I've been in the same room as niggas from I've been in the same room as Paul Wagner. I've been in the same room as fucking Jason Tankersley. I've been in the same room as all these niggas. I've been in the same room as fucking... A lot of them are straight, like, and I mean, it should be obvious, but a lot of these people are fucking cowards. They're only about something when they have their little group or their little gang or whatever to lean on. That nigga Paul Wagner is like 5'6" in real life. I could have picked him up and pressed him over my head my damn self.
In real life, I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3", 270 pounds.
Yeah, I'm 6'1", 205, so like, I'm not huge, but I'm not a little nigga by any means.
Like, I don't work out, but, like, I can beat the fuck out of most people, like, without much effort. Because of my size.
You hate... Oh, okay, my fault. I'm reading chat now. You hate Marvel for the endless franchising and military messaging? Yeah, I was just using that as an example. Because that's low-key, high-key why I don't really fuck with Marvel movies anyway. Black Panther being the most egregious example. I mean, I like Marvel movies in a sense that I enjoy seeing comic book characters from my childhood do crazy shit on screen, like live action. But like, the secondary antagonist or the secondary protagonist of a movie entitled Black Panther was literally a CIA agent. Like, I can't. That's shit that you can't.
Changing mags.
Like, they had that, like, no-name character from, like, a fucking... What was it, the Avengers movies?
Yeah.
Just be, like, the secondary person. Like, who was that bodyguard? Remember the bodyguard Spear? I loved her. She's amazing.
I forget what, fuck. I can't recall her name off the top of my head, but yeah, she's canon too. She's from the comics. All that Wakanda shit was canon. And
you know what I really like in Marvel? What I started reading? I started reading a lot of the Hulk stuff.
Hulk is good. The Hulk run, I started reading Hulk in like 2000, I want to say it was like 2012, I think.
Surprisingly fucking wow. It's good.
It was I want to say Indestructible Hulk was the first one, and I have a few. I'm not bringing my comics back in here. I did that on my birthday. I got a #1 for that floating around somewhere. Back when they did the Marvel Now shit and all those #1s dropped, I made sure to snatch all of them up in case they were worth something. So I got the Captain America #1 that's got Falcon as Captain America. I got the Thor #1 that was the introduction of Gore the God Butcher. Yeah, I got a bunch of #1s from that.
Hold on, it's like a painting or something.
All eyes on the gardener. Fire in the hole.
I had it hanging up on my wall. So.
Oh, nice! Fuck yeah. That's cool as fuck.
And it's wood. It's just a print, but you know, it's nice to look at.
Yeah.
Installed.
Yeah, I got a bunch of like rare gems, but shit that's like not really. It's like kind of bullshit. Like I think the most valuable issue I have right now is Dark Avengers #1, Direct Edition, and then I have Carnage USA, all Direct Editions, complete set, 5, where it's like the last I checked was worth like 20 an issue, and like 200 for the whole set. But my most prized comics are I got the complete set of Night Thrasher 4 Control, all 4 issues of that Direct Edition, and I got the foil issue of Age of Apocalypse, the series finale, where Magneto rips Apocalypse in half.
That sounds cool. I saw once when we were on that one stoner cast together, you brought out some Judge Dredd comics.
Oh yeah, I'm huge in 2000 AD and Judge Dredd too. I got a bunch of IDW number ones, or not number ones, but I got the IDW number one from that.
Like
Because the movie Dredd just dropped.
Shit is dystopian as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like cyberpunk police, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah. They were pretty on the nose about Judge Dredd himself, like being a literal fascist, like very on the nose, to the point where some of his early inkings, that little reflection or like glare on his visor is literally in the shape of an SS. Fuck off. Damn it. There we go. But yeah, with the monetization in this game, I haven't really experienced it yet. So, damn, I have a lot of bullets right now. The game is still in beta. They just released it to the public in early access in the middle of last month. So it's been out for less than a month. And the developers are in Ukraine. It's a Ukrainian indie developer. So I'm sure they are... Oh, PC crashed, damn. My bad. I was saying, this game, the monetization, I haven't really experienced it yet. I don't really know what it is. I dragged you back in. I didn't realize how much fucking contamination mutators we have. How many mutators we have. We kick it up the steps? Nope.
I feel cold.
Really though? That killed me? That's cool.
I got you, Doc.
Focus on the tiny spot.
I'm gonna probably finish up and raid out after this next one because I see people are getting a little fatigued seeing my new account properly. I don't know why that motherfucker wasted his ult like that.
Shut your eyes. Flash incoming. Hostile flashback.
What up, Kuma? I was actually just getting ready to, after this one, end and raid out. Oh my god.
Frag. Watch out.
I knew I should have. We have all fucking 5 modifiers. All 5 mutators.
Switching clips.
They showed up just in time to get dealt with by the end of the fucking instance.
You need
Crazy.
to evac squad. The contamination levels are too high.
Oh, we can't even get this because we gotta fucking extract now.
That spot should be okay.
Lie still.
He's confused. Shit. Why can't we get it? Because we gotta go, motherfucker. I'm gonna give you shit you gotta fucking, you're not gonna be able to use in 2 minutes. Yeah, stream today has been pretty chill. Been super chill. What's out there? That is a lot of adamants, and they're all coming from me now.
It has to have a weak spot.
There's the extraction.
Having trouble with Discord app?
Clear
That
the area
sucks.
so we can pick you
That
up
is
safely.
sad.
Gardner quick charge. Nice eye shine.
Fuck! Motherfucker killed me with a 416. Are we all dead? Is that what just happened? They're shooting the gardener. They're shooting at the gardener. Just live for 30 seconds.
Congrats, Shellguard.
Never
You've
mind.
explored 3 points of interest this time. Keep it up.
Behold, a miracle of science.
All right. Love to see successful extraction. Now let me see who am I raid out to. Let's raid Critical Ace Theory. I haven't raided them in a minute. All right, I'll catch y'all tonight at 10 for the news. Hope to see y'all there.